And into the end zone it goes for a touchback. And so the Colts will start out 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. Jacquez downing the ball. Jim Harbaugh has had the highest quarterback rating in the NFL over the past 3 weeks, over 110 rating. His offensive line, as Randy mentioned, includes a couple of young guys. Adam Meadows, a rookie. Tarek Glenn, a rookie. But they've been together all 15 games so far and are playing very well of late. Marshall Faulk is his best runner. Marvin Harrison, his best pass catcher. Although Dilger was a huge factor in that rout of the Dolphins last week at tight end.
Don, keep an eye on 93 Randall. I talked about him a little while ago. This guy throws a fit every play.
Every play. John Randall's at the top of your screen. He's the defensive right end. 93 for the Vikings. As the Colts go to the run and get some, not a whole lot on 1st and 10. Up to the 22-yard line goes Marshall Faulk. Stopped by defensive tackle Jerry Ball. In the front four of the Vikings, 2 rookies start. Stalin Kaline from Boston College, good player. So's Tony Williams, and Randall's the All-Pro. The linebackers, they really think Dwayne Rudd, their top pick from Alabama, is a rising star. They are starting with Torian Gray, 4 rookies in their starting defense. They started 4 last week and gave up only the 14 points at Detroit. Jerry Ball shaken up on that opening play. A misfire on 2nd down and 8.
Prior to the snap,
the
ball
Colts
start,
malfunction.
number 4.
Bill Carollo, the referee. That'll make it 2nd down and 13.
You know, the last 3 games, Don, Harbaugh has drawn the opposing defenses offsides 8 times. He's done a really good job with the snap count, the hard count. And so these Viking linemen who are going to try to put pressure on him all day today have got to watch that football before the ball's snapped.
You know, I could see it at home, though, Coach, but how do you do this in another team's place? It should be louder in here for an opposing offense.
It should be, Randy, but this is one of the quietest stadiums I've ever coached in.
Just starting to get a little louder as Harbaugh drops on 2nd down, makes a throw and a connection to Harrison. Marvin Harrison, the 2nd-year receiver from Syracuse, who Jim Harbaugh calls the money man. He thinks he is a great player. That was his 67th catch.
And for Harbaugh, the key really all day long against this defense that will attack him all out is going to be that protection.
Yeah, watch Randall, though, coming in from that right side. I think he beat Meadows on the very first pass by the Colts. And like you said earlier, Randy, that's going to be a key matchup today. The rookie Meadows against John Randall, one of the best pass rushers in the league.
Marvin Harrison was the Colts' number 1 pick 2 years ago. On 3rd down and needing a long 6, Harbaugh sets in the shotgun. A blitz, and he released to out pattern, and apparently Ross signals with Sean Dawkins, who is running an in pattern, so it's incomplete, and the Colts are 3 and out and have to punt the ball.
Well, both these teams like to use on offense a lot of different personnel groups. The Colts are going to play with 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 tight ends, and the Vikings are going to do the same thing. Every play they're going to be substituting different guys in there. That time the Colts on 3rd down came in with the 4 wide receiver set, but Harbaugh was off the money.
It's great to see Harbaugh on the sideline like that. You just saw, too. He's got a lot of fire to him, and he's back to being that fiery leader of this offense.
Yardaki now punts the ball. David Palmer, who leads the National Conference in punt returns, 13.4 a return, takes it up the middle, crosses the 30-yard line, and gets to the 31-yard line. A 57-yard punt by Gardaki and a 12-yard return. And here comes Randall Cunningham out to quarterback the Vikings. Sat out all of last year in retirement. Met Dennis Green at the Super Bowl and decided to come back. Was on the bench for the first 13 games this season. Great players on the left side of the line, and Stussy and McDaniel both headed to the Pro Bowl. Robert Smith, despite missing 2.5 games, could become the Vikings single-season rushing leader if he gets 95 yards today. And passes Terry Allen, who has the record at 1,201 yards.
Okay, I'll move.
Cunningham looking to get his ball downfield and dumps it off over the middle. Incomplete to Robert Smith. As the Colts have been getting a big rush. Get one there. Looking at the front 4, Dan Footman's been tremendous. 10.5 sacks in 9 games at right end. They start a couple of rookies at cornerback in Monty Montgomery and Rico Clark. Very good safeties in Blackman and Belzer. Vikings first possession. A win today, and they're in the playoffs despite their current 5-game losing streak. McDaniel picked. Stepping up is Steve Morrison, an outside linebacker from Michigan. So Randall Cunningham's second throw of the day is a disaster.
Well, and it's all about vision. Randall Cunningham's vision will be temporarily impaired by the pass rush. Watch him want to throw, have to double clutch, and it seems like when he double clutches, the defender immediately reacts to that throw, Coach.
Yeah, but that still wasn't a good throw by Cunningham. You know, he's got time there. I mean, he's got to be able to dodge those rushers, and he's got plenty of time. He can't make a throw like that and give the Colts great field position here on the 30-yard line early in the game. That was not a good decision, not a good throw by Randall Cunningham.
And you made the point. He's got to get the ball down the field.
He's got to get the ball down the field. That's the only way they're going to get in the end zone, and that's been their whole problem the last few games. They can't score enough points to win. Their defense has been playing pretty good, unlike it did earlier in the year. They got to get the ball downfield to their big play guys, Jake Reed, Chris Carter, to get in the end zone. And right there, those guys were being double covered on both those plays. So what they got to do, I think they got to run the ball a little bit early and get them out of that double coverage.
Well, Don, you talked about the fact that this guy and the running back, Robert Smith, going for a franchise record. And why you don't use him to make a little bit of a statement early, I have no idea.
Well, that's one of the things, Randy, he was wondering to us yesterday. He said he had 170 yards rushing against the Lions in the first half, and all of a sudden got away from it. Everybody in the Viking offense wants the ball more, but right now the Colts have the ball in this scoreless game. Safety blitz. Zach Crockett, big fullback from Florida State, takes it straight ahead and is taken down by John Randall.
Well, right there, the Vikings gave the Colts a little taste of their own medicine, bringing Robert Griffith from that safety position, just flying in. Watch, this is a pitch shot inside. Suddenly you see a safety like that come in, number 24, Griffith. That disrupts not only blocking patterns, but that disrupts the running back's mind, because he's not supposed to see that purple flash free.
That's right. Well, that was a flash, too. He was in quickly. A gain of only about 1.5 yards. Harbaugh, quick drop, throws the out patterns, got his man. And that is Harrison on the near side. And the very quick Marvin Harrison gets inside the 25-yard line and close to a first down. He'll be 2 yards short.
Well, let's check in and see how John Randall's doing against that rookie Adam Meadows. Well, one way you deal with him is you start the tight end on him and use the tackle as a backup.
Well,
Dilger.
That's how you take care of John Randall. You put two guys on him. You got Ken Dilger, one of the biggest tight ends around, about 250 pounds, and Adam Meadows, and it's going to be tough even for John Randall to get the quarterback through those two guys. Of course, what that does takes Dilger out of the pass route, you know.
Pitch back. Marshall Faulk cuts in and gets inside the 20-yard line, and Indianapolis has a first down. Ed McDaniel, the middle linebacker, makes the stop. McDaniel, one of the guys who was most upset about no breakfast yesterday. He said he was dreaming of pancakes.
You know, Marshall Faulk has had a good career. This is his 4th year, but early in the year he wasn't playing very well. He wasn't getting a lot of yards. He said yesterday, he said, the reason I'm doing better now, and these guys have rushed for over 100 yards in 6 of the last 7 games, is the offensive line is playing better together. I'm seeing bigger holes, more room to run.
Let's see what they get on first down and 10. Marshall Faulk, very quick. His weight is up to 212. Talking about missing breakfast. Dennis Green normally has a sumptuous Saturday breakfast for his players as the Skins are in front of the Eagles early in that game. Not good news for Dennis Green, because he can get in even with a loss today if Washington should lose.
That's right, and I'm sure these Vikings players and coaches are keeping close watch on that. Now they shouldn't. They should have all their focus right on this football game right here, but I know in the back of the mind they're concerned about what the Redskins are doing.
Right now they've got to be concerned, Jim, about the Colts are doing after the interception. Indianapolis driving in field goal range in this scoreless game. Timing throw, beautifully done by Harbaugh. That time he and Sean Dawkins are synchronized for Dawkins' 60-second catch.
Well, this is just a great game plan by the coaches for the Colts. And Lindy and Fani brings Dilger in motion, and that opens up this side for his quarterback, Harbaugh. The coverage has to sort of slide the other way, and Dawkins isn't able to put that big body, when I say big, 6'4", 215 out there between he and the cornerback.
That's right, Randy. You know, and the other thing, you talk about a game plan, to equalize that Viking rush, John Randall on Meadows throwing those three-step drop short passes, those slants like they did that time to Dawkins, that helps a lot too.
And the gain gives him a 3rd and 3. Harbaugh, who rushes for over 5 yards a carry, dives inside the 5-yard line, and it is 1st down and goal for the Indianapolis Colts.
Take a look here as the Colts form a pocket, and then the pocket opens up. See that open up in the middle? What else could you ask for? You got coverage downfield, but it's one of the hazards of having that kind of a physical, or I should say quick, active defensive line, as those kind of lanes open up.
Both of these teams, because of the way that both quarterbacks can move around and are not hesitant to run the football, both of these teams on defense have got to make sure they get pressure on the quarterback but stay in the rush lanes.
You see what they've done in the red zone, though. The coach, Harbaugh, runs as a last resort. Cunningham runs because he wants to.
That's right.
Now Harbaugh takes a look, sees nothing happening, nobody open, throws the ball away. But Harbaugh can run well when he has to. He's averaging 5.8 a rush this year. And Cunningham, you mentioned, Randy, is averaging almost 10 yards a rush.
The flag went down right around the umpire position.
Corner blitz.
Well, down here in the end zone, what you've got to do is you've got to get pressure on the quarterback and bring people on the blitz. And there you're going to see the cornerback, Dwayne Washington, not a big player, coming in from the left side. Harbaugh's left side.
Number 73, and the end of the line did not report. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
As I was mentioning, Dwayne Washington came in there from that left side, and nobody blocked him, and he put good pressure on Harbaugh right before he threw the football.
You know what happened there, Coach? No receivers up here, nothing here. There's you got your Adam Meadows, your tackle out on the end, is actually in an eligible position, didn't report, and that was what the penalty was about.
Right, he didn't report, but the guy that messed up was one of those receivers who should have been lined up over on that left side. It wasn't Meadows' fault, it was one of those receivers' fault.
Well, you say he doesn't have good hands?
And then to add to it, Meadows got flattened by John Randall's pass rush. Now it is 1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Harbaugh has an open field to run. He's going to throw it, lobs it, and nobody's there, but his man was knocked down, Sean Dawkins, and markers come in.
Yeah, that's going to be pass interference against Minnesota.
Yeah, they had 2 guys on Dawkins, and they just knocked him down in the end zone. He had no chance at the football.
Almost looked like Harbaugh could have run it in.
Yeah, it looked initially like he could have, but then those linebackers were going to adjust and come up, and I don't think he'd have made it in, Don. It looked like it was open there initially, but I don't think he would have made it.
Dwayne Washington may have tackled Dawkins in the end zone. Cornerback for the Vikings.
Adam Meadows did a nice job on Randall, kind of turned him in. That's what gave Harbaugh that corner on that scramble like that.
Holding. Number 20 on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
Well, this is Harrison. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Dwayne Washington just absolutely grabs Doc. He tackles him. Look, he's got his right arm wrapped around.
But he got his money's worth. He got a 2-for, Coach.
Yeah, you know that.
And the official here in the striped shirt. Oh, I mean, Jim Harbaugh calls that one easy.
Number 4, the referee.
But he got both guys. Went right through
Hey,
Harrison.
you know, Dwayne Washington was a guy that got beat last week on that last play by Herman Moore from Detroit. So he's going to do everything he can to stop the touchdown down here.
They're going to foul him good. He did. 1st and goal from the 5-yard line for the Colts. No score in the 1st quarter. Marshall Falk shoots into the Viking defense and gets the ball down close to the 1-yard line.
Now a nice job too. Keep talking about game plan, but Dilger lines up here at the tight end position after motioning into that spot, and when he get in his stance, there was not a doubt in the world it was a run. That whole offensive line, and then Dilger is just planted and ready to go forward. A decent hole, and then you get a back like Falk being a back like Falk.
Yeah, that's the way that backs have got to run. especially down here at the goal line. You got to smell that end zone and find a way to get into it.
He almost did, just a yard away. Marshall Faulk shoots in, standing up, and the underdog Colts, who've been playing some tremendous football in the recent weeks, continue to do that, capitalizing on the interception by their linebacker Steve Morrison.
Well, they're going to hand the ball off to Faulk here to the right side with the fullback leading up in there, but what he does, he makes a nice cutback. His backs ought to do right there. Obviously the defensive pursuit overran and he cut it back, and there was a huge hole in that Viking defensive front.
That's a tough move too for a running back coach to be that patient with that little to go to a touchdown, but that's what really got him. That blocking opened that hole back there, but it took just a little while from the wait to see it.
It shouldn't be that easy down in the goal line area. It drives me crazy when guys just run in there that easy. Carrier can't get too anxious down there.
Here's the dangerous David Palmer running it back, breaks into the open field for the Vikings. The All-American from Alabama putting on a stutter step move and takes it to the near side, and he ignites the Metrodome. A 53-yard kickoff return. So the Vikings in this all-important game down 7-0 will start with good field position. 3 yards to set the Vikings up at the 45-yard line of Indianapolis.
Jim, you've had a big return like that. Why wouldn't you take a home run shot down the field right now?
This is a perfect time to do it. The only problem is most teams do it at this time and the defenses are ready for it. But this is a good time to take a shot, but they're not going to.
Okay, the guy took a shot was the running back Robert Smith, as he's stuck for about a 2-yard loss by Ellis Johnson.
Well, you know, you've got a Colt defense that's starting 4 rookies. Here's one of them, that's Footman. That's 98 Footman. He's the guy that you mentioned, Don, earlier. In 9 starts, he's got 10.5 sacks, which is, they think he's one of the best players, the guys that's played one of the best here in the second half of the season. He's really come on when he came in for the injured Tony Bennett.
Second down and 11 now. Looks like Randall's going to take the shot. He swings it out. This is Robert Smith with his 36th catch of the year. As we see the Skins continue to lead the Eagles.
You know what, though, guys? You talk about these what-ifs and formulas. I've always thought formulas are for losers. You know, formulas are stuff you worry about when you're not good enough to get the job done by yourself. And the last thing Danny Green wants to see is, you know, gee, we should rely on the fact that Washington might get beat.
Speaking of formula, the man who authored No Time for Crybabies, that's his area bestseller, Dennis Green's recent book about his time with the Vikings and in football. Here is Randall Cunningham on 3rd and 10, lofting a ball downfield, and he gets his man, Chris Carter, who slams the ball down because it's been his protest. They haven't been going to him, one of the great receivers in football.
And one of the big protests has been really in this offense is Randall Cunningham has been thinking about the run, which is an instinction thing, and not getting the ball down the field. He's thinking about the run, but he can't help but see number 80, Chris Carter, get open like that. These are the kind of plays this offense has to make. Let Chris Carter, who I think has got the best hands of any receiver, maybe other than Jerry Rice, I've ever seen.
Well, Randy, as you know, he's caught more passes over the last 4 years than any player in NFL history over a 4-year period. As Chris Carter, as Robert Smith runs and gets down close to the 20-yard line. So the Vikings challenging, trailing early in the game 7-0. Robert Smith out of Ohio State, averaging over 5 yards a rush, and he's missed 2.5 games this year already with over 1,100 yards rushing.
This guy's a real talent, and his only problem since he's been in the league has been problem with injuries.
He's had a lot of them. When he's healthy, he's one of the very best. Randall Cunningham with a good fake, swings it out. Robert Smith has a first down, cuts back, and Smith takes the ball down to the 6-yard line. A 14-yard gain on the play, and the Vikings get closer to the end zone.
You know, ignore this guy's stats as far as size and weight. He is a sprinter out of Ohio State, and watch him become a sprinter off a short little pass. You don't coach this. This is just letting him get down there and blaze it. But part of that sprinter background, I think, can be a partial explanation, Jim, for those injuries. I mean, that is a finely tuned machine, and football's not always a game for finely tuned machines. Pickup trucks sometimes work pretty good.
And I need that right now, that boom, boom, bam, bam play up the middle. They do go to Robert Smith, and he's caught and knocked down for a loss of maybe a yard. Nothing up the middle, tried to cut it wide, and Jason Belzer, playing well at safety for the Colts, makes the stop.
Jim, how crazy does it drive a coach to see dancing in the backfield?
Especially down here. I mean, this is where, you know, you don't need to get a long run down here. All you need to get is a few yards. You got 4 downs to get in the end zone. You only got 8 or 9 yards. You got to pound it up in there. Drives you nuts down here. Robert Smith should know better.
So far, Robert Smith has run the ball 3 times and has a net 0 yards. Randall Cunningham, he is swept under an all-out blitz. Robert Blackman, 25, one of the safeties, came in unimpeded and got a clean shot at him, a loss of 8.
Well, when your backs are to the wall defensively and you're backed up to your own goal line, you've got to come with the blitz to try to make something happen. And what they do here, they bring 2 people right up the middle plus somebody from the left side. Cunningham has absolutely no chance. Jimmy Johnson, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, told us yesterday that he likes to blitz, zone blitz primarily, about 12 to 15 times a day. And I think if they can put pressure on Cunningham today, it's going to be a big factor in the ball game.
It's a big deal against that quarterback Cunningham, because if you can find ways like that to bring Mora yours, and he's got less of his to protect him, it will affect him.
Let's see how it affects him now. Here's Randall Cunningham on the run. He fires to the end zone. Look at the hands by Chris Carter. It's a touchdown. The best catch I've seen this year.
Well, as Randy mentioned earlier, there's not a better receiver in the league today, maybe other than Jerry Rice, that can make the catches that Carter can't. And I've coached against this guy a number of times, and I've seen him make catches like this. And that was another. Hey, that's kind of normal for a Chris Carter, believe it or not. For most receivers, it wouldn't be, but for him, it happens pretty regularly.
Well, inside the field, there's a guy like a Jerry Rice you have to talk about and other receivers. But in the boundary areas, back of the end zone, sidelines, no one is better than him.
That's a great point and right on target, too, because that guy can do it down there where it counts.
That ball's in slow motion there, but it was coming hard, and Chris Carter makes the play.
Watch the body control at the boundary. Not only do the hands catch the ball, but he's able to compose his body and get those feet down. I mean, no offense to you in the profession, but do you really coach that to a guy that can do that?
No, you draft that. That's what you draft.
Now here's the kickoff down to Jaquette, running it back for the Colts in this tie game. Nate Jaquette takes a lick at the 15-yard line, a return of just 16 yards. As down to make the play for the Vikings was Mo Williams, number 21. The NFL season extends to the World Wide Web on NFL.com, the league's official website. Visit NFL.com for all of the scores and stats, including a complete roundup of this weekend's scores in action. Plus, you can chat live with some of the NFL's biggest stars. It's all at NFL.com. Game tied, 7-7. Vikings playoff hopes on the line. Need a win. They've lost 5 straight. Here comes Harbaugh on the Colts. Long ball, and it's broken up. It would have been intercepted by Torian Gray, the rookie free safety, but one of his own guys that came over. They were shooting at Marvin Harrison, but Harbaugh was way long.
Well, this qualifies throw-wise as an oops, and usually when you get an oops, you have a reason. And number 93, John Randall, is a good reason, because unless you get full bodies in front of this maniac, you are not going to stop him.
Yeah, and they tried to get him with 2 guys right there. Doug Waddell, the left guard, came over and tried to help, and neither one of them could get him. But, you know, you mentioned earlier about going deep when you have good field position. They went deep here from their own 15-yard line on that play, Randy.
That shows a lot of confidence out of Lindy Infante, what his quarterback's been doing.
What's he going to do? Looks like he's going to go deep again if he can. Harbaugh now fires hard and over the hands of his wide receiver, Sean Dawkins. Again, a big rush by the Vikings, as we now see the Redskins extending to a 14-7 lead over Philadelphia. As mentioned earlier, a Washington loss, no matter what the Vikings do today, would put the Vikings in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't mean to bring up a bad memory, though, Jim, but, you know, they win this game here in Minnesota. This team starts to remind me of that 87 Viking team that went down to the Superdome and beat you guys and then came out to the San Francisco and smacked us around pretty good and got to the championship game.
Yeah, you are bringing up a bad Why'd you have to do that?
Whatever's fair, right? Here's a 3rd down and 10 play as Harbaugh is taken down by John Randall. They can't block him. I don't know if anybody can.
Well, the key really now is that you're not getting that help from the tight end Dilger. You're not getting the ding from a running back. You're leaving this rookie all by himself against Randall. And when you get that much air around Randall, he has places to go. And you're number 4, you got trouble.
Well, Randall, tries to beat him outside initially, and Meadows just reacts to the outside real quick and just opened up that inside. And Randall, the experience that he has, he just came right back inside, threw him outside, came back inside, and got to the quarterback.
Air bothers offensive linemen.
Yes, sir.
And that was now has 14.5 sacks for the season, does John Randall. Here comes the dangerous David Palmer, working his way to the 47 or 8 yard line, a 48-yard punt and a 4-yard return. Knock him down and sit on him. First down and 10 Vikings, game tied 7-7. Randall Cunningham averaging 9.8 yards a rush. Gets almost that on that carry. He's down to the 46-yard line, a gain of about almost 8 yards on the play.
On an earlier drive, Cunningham had opportunities to run, but threw the ball for big gains. Here it looked to me like he should have taken off right away. I mean, there was nobody in his face. He could have run for a first down, but he actually hesitated a little bit to see if there was somebody open. And there might have been somebody open. Carter there looks like he might have been open, but I think Cunningham should have taken it and gone then.
That's downfield on the backside. You've got to be looking for that to hit that.
Handoff goes to fullback Charles Evans. Cunningham made his first start in almost 2 years earlier this month at San Francisco. And really is still getting in sync with his receivers in the Viking passing game. Cunningham had only 14 yards passing in the second half last week in the loss against the Lions.
Hey, Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator, has that, that Walsh type style offense here where it takes a lot of timing, takes a lot of touch for the quarterback. There's Brian Billick right there. And you really need coordination and time with receivers to operate this offense effectively.
Vikings have done all right in third down. They've converted their previous 2 third downs. Randall calls his own number, but you see penalty markers fly. Todd Stussy looked like.
False start prior to the snap. Number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Well, we've got one rookie on the Colts side having a tough time. Stussy's having a hard time with Footman and just sort of listens to the bark of Randall Cunningham, and he gets him.
Yeah, what happened there? Footman started to move in a little bit prior to the snap, but he wasn't in the neutral zone. Stussy's got to be disciplined enough to not let that bother him and hang in there until the ball snapped.
So that's one of the better sides of a football line you're going to see in the entire league with Randall McDaniel and Todd Stussy. Very athletic and very strong.
And both headed to the Pro Bowl. On third down, Cunningham stands in, fires a shot, and makes the connection. This is Carter on the run. He's inside the 20-yard line and all the way down to the 15. A gain on the play of 34 yards.
Jim, I talked to Chris Carter before the game, and he said the one thing I'm waiting for Randall Cunningham to do is have the confidence to put a ball in when I look covered, and I've just got a crack on a guy. You want to talk about a nice throw to a guy that's had a little crack.
Yeah, that's the best throw that Cunningham has made so far in the game today. He threw that with some confidence and some authority. There was no doubt in his mind. Boy, he put some zip on that and got it right to Carter. That showed me something there by Cunningham.
After the 53-yard kickoff return by Palmer, the Vikings have been on fire as now they go back to the run, and big Leroy Horde, a much-traveled player, takes it into the 12-yard line, a gain of almost 3 yards on the play. Bernard Whittington made the stop for the Colts.
And don't forget, inside for the Minnesota Vikings, their third center in the game, Everett Lindsey, now playing. So you might wonder, how come they got Pro Bowlers inside like McDaniel and whatnot, and they can't run inside? You got a center in there that's worried more about the snap and learning assignments and making sure everybody goes the right way. It will suffer your run game.
He not only has their third center, but he's never played center before.
Cunningham fires a shot to the end zone. You heard Joe Gibbs on the pregame show talking about Randall Cunningham having the strongest arm of all the quarterbacks one year at the quarterback challenge, and he's really still got that pop on his fastball, too much sometimes.
We mentioned Lindsey, and he had never played center. He's been a guard and a tackle for the Vikings. He played in the World League last spring, and they lose Christie, and then they lose Dill, their number 2 center, and a couple weeks ago they got to put Lindsey in there. He'd never played center before other than a few snaps just as security in the preseason, and they stick him in there. He's got to make all the calls, all the adjustments, and now they've given him some help with the other offensive linemen. But it's been a tough adjustment on him, and it has a real effect on the offense.
He must be a great athlete, because you can put your true good athletes at that center position, don't you?
Well, there's been some exceptions. There was a guy that played in the NFC West a few years ago when we were coaching against him when I was with the Saints. I think his name was Randy Cross or something like that. I don't know.
Wasn't that bad, though, was he? He went to the Pro Bowl 3 times. With a timeout, last Sunday, the Vikings missed a chance to clinch a playoff berth against the Lions. With 2 minutes remaining in the game, Eddie Murray missed this 37-yard field goal, which would have given the Vikings a 10-point lead. And then, with 3 seconds remaining, Scott Mitchell connects with Herman Moore for the winning touchdown, and the Lions beat the Vikings 14-13.
The key in that game was early in the game, Denny Green's offense got down well inside the red zone and only got 13 points. They got down there 4 times and got a touchdown and 2 field goals. We've seen them down here so far once today, and they've gotten that touchdown. You want to go to the playoffs, you score touchdowns.
Let's see what they do now. They've converted their previous 3 third down tries. 3rd and 8. Even Chris Carter, the magician, can't make that play, and that'll do it for the first quarter of play. The game tied at 7-all. Makes that one. So the Vikings, after being stung early and trailing 7-0, now come back with 10 unanswered points in a game that, if they win it, will send them on to the NFL playoffs. Randall Cunningham started to heat up throwing the ball, and Jim Harbaugh is a guy that can get hot at any moment.
Called an audible. He'll never forget Todd Scott stepped in front of this thing, and it will forever, in my mind, be remembered as the volcano game. And there's the 2-legged volcano. You know what I love, though, Jim, I talked to you about earlier? I loved Harbaugh's reaction after this game. Everybody went nuts about Ditka going off on him. And he said, hey, look, you think I'm a coach's son? You think that's the first time somebody's chewed my butt on a football field?
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened to him a lot before. And he takes that kind of stuff good. You know, he's the kind of guy that, like you say, being a coach's son, he's been around that kind of stuff. I'm sure he's been yelled at a lot, and he can handle it.
He's also a coach himself.
Yeah, he's a coach. And his dad's the head coach at Western Kentucky, Jack Harbaugh. And actually, he's a certified by the NC2A, Jim is, assistant coach for his dad's football team. And he says when he gets done playing, he wants to be a college coach because he loves the recruiting.
Yeah, he says he loves to recruit. You told him that'll get old, though, if you stay with it. Jaquette runs it back from the end zone as he comes across the 10-yard line, and again he's cut down short of the 20 by very good special teams pursuit by the Vikings. Heading into the final Sunday, here's how the selecting order would be in the NFL draft next April. Arizona, because of weakness of schedule, is ahead of the Indianapolis Colts. And San Diego, Oakland, Chicago, all 4-11 going into the final game. Lindy Infante, he's been in just about every league known to man. He played in the Canadian League. He coached in the World Football League and the U.S. Football League. Now in the NFL, was for 4 years the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Crowd kicking in here in Minneapolis. Harbaugh with a quick timing throw, comes in low. Throwing to Sean Dawkins. Washington up 21-7 on the Eagles.
Yeah, what they tried to do that time is Marvin Harrison is the key receiver for this Colt football team, and what the Vikings did that time, they rolled up their corner and doubled Harrison, and I believe that Harbaugh saw this, so he's going to throw a quick one out there to Dawkins because that corner's going to be off. He's got that deep zone. He's going to be off.
Hey, you know, Harbaugh knows John Randall's over there too. He's gotten that pressure on him, and the Minnesota Vikings know he's going to throw some quick stuff because of that guy right there.
And there he is, the fierce one. John Randall with 1 sack already. They go to a draw play. That's the one way to negate his pass rush. Marshall Faulk takes it straight up the middle and gets about 3 yards. Dixon Edwards, an outside linebacker, making the stop from Minnesota, former Cowboy. Randall told us yesterday that he just loves the game so much. That's why he plays so hard. He knows it's not going to last a lot of years. He was an undrafted free agent out of Texas A&I.
He's got his war paint off. Here's a guy that usually has himself. He looks like something out of Phantom of the Opera or the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And now he's going clean.
But he's coming hard. Ready to tee off again on third down. Here's a throw and a catch over the middle. On the run is Marvin Harrison. Beautifully done by the Colts. A crossing pattern. And Harbaugh threads it in with perfect lead to his young receiver for the gain for a first down.
Well, that time the Vikings had a zone blitz on. They were rushing 6 guys and covering with 5. Those corners are playing off in a zone, so they're actually dropping. Even though they're rushing guys, they're actually dropping. So if you can pick up that rush, if you can block that zone blitz, you can usually find somebody open, and that's what they did that time with Harrison.
Good for a 16-yard gain on the play. First and 10 for the Colts at their 34. The option, and it works well as Harbaugh down the line option pitches to his trailer, and it's ahead for a gain of almost 10 yards on the play. Marshall Faulk was the runner.
Well, this is a play you don't see very often in the National Football League. The option play, fakes it to the back, going up inside, comes down the outside, and flips it off the Faulk. Now, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to take advantage of John Randall playing defensive end. I'm sure he hasn't seen the option play since college, his days at Texas A&I, and he bit on the inside run, and there's nobody to take Faulk.
2 points there, though. Harbaugh was smart enough not to get too close to John Randall on that option. And secondly, John Randall got all the way down the field and makes the tackle.
He did.
There's a defensive end catching Marshall Faulk after he gets a pitch from the quarterback. That was impressive.
Well, the thing about John Randall, and you know, we used to practice against the Vikings up here in Wisconsin when we were training at Lacrosse. The Saints, we would alternate. One year we'd come up here and work against them, and they'd come down there and work against us. The thing about Randall is he is a all-out guy on every play. From snap to whistle, he's going to give it 110%, and I'm sure he is today when the playoffs are on the line.
Coach Fazio, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, says that Randall has a sweat in the locker room a half hour before they come out. With his gyrations, he's getting so pumped to play. He just loves it. Marshall Faulk runs on second and less than a yard. And he gets out and across the 45 for a first down.
One thing you got to do with a guy like Randall, you can't always put 2 guys on him. You know, we've seen him being blocked with the guard and the tackle, with the tackle and the tight end. We've seen him being single blocked on some passing plays where he actually beat Meadows. But you've got to mix it up on the guy, Randy. You know this is an offensive lineman, that if the guy knows how he's going to be blocked all the time, he can adjust and beat it.
We got to find a way to make him think he's going to get double teamed and just maybe get a little touch on him.
That's right.
Marshall Faulk is now within 18 yards of 1,000 for the season. And he's still got that burst as Marshall Faulk comes out of the blocks and shoots ahead for a gain of 12 yards and a Colt first down. Corey Fuller makes the stop at 12 yards downfield.
Minnesota brought Dwayne Rudd up on this side. He's bringing a blitz this way, and they do a good job inside of overcoming that. Adam Meadows doesn't get a great block on Randall, but he's on him long enough that he can't crash that thing down and make the tackle there.
That's right. When they bring the guy on the outside, run on the outside, that means Randall's got to slant inside and take that inside gap. But Meadows got him enough to get Faulk through there.
Colts trail by 3. It's 10-7, second quarter. As Harbaugh gets time, stands in, throws a fastball. It's taken inside the 35-yard line for a gain of 7 by Marvin Harrison. Ed McDaniel, the middle linebacker, on the stop.
Ed McDaniel, normally a outside linebacker with Brady, the normal middle linebacker, out. He goes to middle. Rudd goes to outside. Harrison decides, no more squirreling around and trying to make moves. I'll just try to head upfield and finds himself a middle linebacker.
And that middle linebacker there, he can run. Now, there's a guy that can run. You talk about that Viking defense. It's a very fast defense.
Harbaugh on second down and 4. Nicely timed throw to the outside to Sean Dawkins for a first down. As the Colts move the ball now inside the 30 of the Vikings on an 8-yard pass play.
You know, a lot of times, Coach, it seems that offense and defense can be like a boxing match. And an offense can use little jabs and hits to keep a defense off balance. And right now, Harbaugh and this offense are jabbing this Vikings defense in the face and have got them kind of not stumbling, but they're back on their heels a little bit. They're not in the attack mode they normally are. And Sean Dawkins, you can see in these catches this year, having in his career year.
I think this is what the Colts have got to do today against this Viking team.
That Dawkins' personal foul call last week against the Dolphins helped inspire the team. He threw a defensive back down early in that game, and it picked up the whole intensity level of the entire Colt team as Marshall Faulk runs the ball on first down. Continues to get good yardage. He's down to the 20 for a gain of 6.
Don, you mentioned earlier one of the ways to negate the rush is the draw play or the delay play. That time there, they fake the draw. Both offensive linemen show pass. You get those defensive linemen running upfield, and that opens up creases for the backs to run. And the Colts have been using the draw play quite a bit so far today, and I'm sure they'll continue to do it because that'll make Randall hesitate just a little bit.
And with that run, Marshall Faulk goes over 1,000 yards rushing in a season for the 3rd time in his 4-year career. One year he was beset by injuries. This time on 2nd and 4, he is stuffed by the middle backer Ed McDaniel and by the rookie defensive end Stalin Colonnade.
Remember earlier in the game, they motioned Dilger over. They set him at tight end. It looked like a run. Same deal here, except this time Minnesota reads it perfectly, especially McDaniel, the middle linebacker. He sees that motion. He looks at the body language of the lineman. He knows it's a run. That's a quick, easy fill for this linebacker out of Clemson.
Not a big linebacker, 5'11", 230, but point out the speed he has. He gets in position here on 3rd down. Harbaugh takes a look, and off he goes up the middle of the field, and he has a first down ball on the field, and the Vikings have it. At the 10-yard line, Dwayne Washington, the young cornerback, bounced on the mistake.
Well, one of the things when you're a quarterback, and he's claiming he was down. Yeah.
He went. That ball came out as he slid.
Well, if he's knees on the ground, then he should have the ball.
Now watch his knees. Watch him slide. Remember, this play's dead. If he slides the old baseball slide, it's dead now. He was getting hit from the backside. We were kind of blocked out. Let's look at this one. Slide out. That is a fumble. The knee was not down to a full slide because normally that ball is spotted when that knee hits in a slide.
Bill Carroll and his crew, unfortunately for all officials, get just a one full speed look at it.
Yeah. This is where all the replay advocates are going to be arguing for replay in a play like this.
You know, I was wrong. You look at that angle from the backside. His knee is down. That was a slide that before the ball came out, he was down.
Looks like the officials
once
are
that knee hits, he's down. It doesn't matter what happens. Just has to touch it.
It won't be popular here in Minnesota if they reverse this thing, but it's absolutely correct.
The ruling on the field is he's down by contact. The quarterback gave himself up. It'll be a first down.
Well done by Vic Carollo and his crew.
Well, we say he said gave himself up. We said slide. Same difference. And you see that knee. Watch the left knee. Down. I mean, it's simultaneous, but, you know, we're talking slow motion.
Yeah, right, Randy.
Real action. The official does a great job on that.
Really a great job. Yeah, right there. It looks like it might have been coming out. I don't know.
Depending on your angle. But like you said, they only got one live action look at it.
It is a first down for the Colts. The 12th play of the drive coming up. And the Viking defense comes up and puts the hit on Cliff Gross. And now Vikings are saying we got the ball again. Randall and Jerry Ball combined down the stat. That's 96 Jerry Ball.
They don't like that call. But if this has done anything, this crowd is starting to get into this football game.
The crowd's getting into it, and that Viking defense is upset. And they're right on that play. Boy, you saw about 10 or 8 or 9 guys around that football.
Look at him. How do you not block John Randall? Meadows went inside after the linebacker. Nobody breathed on Foge Fazio, the defensive coordinator's star defensive lineman, John Randall.
Now he can make blockers whiff. He's so quick, John Randall. Now there's a timeout signal with 8:17 to go in the first half, and the Vikings lead 10-7. Opting at the play of the Viking defense. Second down coming up for the Indianapolis Colts. Vikings lead at 10-7. Colts challenging with the ball at the 16-yard line of Minnesota. Second down and 11.
Well, they've seen a little bit of blitz, a little bit of everything so far out of Minnesota defense. They're looking right now to get a matchup, and they've got Marshall Faulk split to the top of the screen as a halfback.
Here's Falk at the very top of your screen, the upper right. Harrison in motion. Harbaugh again on the run. Here comes the linebacker Dwayne Rudd going at his head and gets him down at the 14-yard line, and he got a shot on the head of Jim Harbaugh, who's not up.
I tell you what, if he caught him on the head, that was not unintentional. He was bringing that arm the entire way at the Colts quarterback. Jim Harbaugh has to come out of the pocket. He's getting good pressure. And when he runs, watch the arm coming at the end here from Rudd. Bang.
Yeah, I don't think that was intentional, Randy. I think what happened there, he's going for the tackle, and Harbaugh ducks it. Kind of ducks it the last minute. See right there, and he gets his head. I don't think Rudd was going for the head initially. I think he was going for a high tackle up around the shoulders, and when Harbaugh ducked, he got the head right there.
He's going to wrap him up aggressively, as you defensive guys might say.
That's right. Well, you know that fumble or lack of fumble by Harbaugh a couple plays earlier where they ruled his knee was down, I think may have been the best thing that happened. This crowd is going crazy right now, and that defense is playing with more fire since that happened.
And you've got this backup quarterback in a third down in the red zone. He won't remember his name, much less what the snap count's on.
He had time to throw about 2 warm-up passes. Kelly Holcomb stands in, gets some time, makes a connection, gets the ball downfield to Chris Doring, who is stopped at the 10-yard line.
Well, he did the smart thing there. The quarterback, Holcomb, did the smart thing. One thing you don't want to down here, you don't want to turn the ball over. You don't want to throw a bad throw, get an interception, or get a sack and take yourself out of field goal range. So right there, he got rid of the ball, a good safe pass, and now they can kick the field goal and tie the game up.
Well, Jim Harbaugh on the sideline looks like he's suffering pretty good from that headshot. I mean, he is this offense right now.
Gary Blanchard has hit 30 of 39, and he drills it right down the middle. And with the field goal, he ties the game at 10-all. The Colts kick off when we come back. Starting quarterback for the Colts dinged on a tackle, clean tackle all the way by linebacker Dwayne Rudd of the Vikings. Has come out of the game. It looks like he might be back in there as the kickoff comes down to David Palmer of the Vikings. Game tied, set 10-10. Palmer small as a penalty marker comes in. But very elusive at 5'8", 165 pounds, a 17-yard return. Now another marker comes in late.
Well, the second one's going to be for a punch thrown.
I think it was by Palmer. Looked to me like Palmer was responding to some guy grabbing him there, and he threw it. Looked to me like he threw a punch. And the first one's got to be on the Vikings too, because that's probably an illegal block or something. This might really put the Vikings in the hole.
6:52 to go in the first half as Randall Cunningham is back out to work for the Minnesota Vikings. Kenny Green, as you talked to earlier today, Jim Mora, he cut off that sumptuous breakfast he normally has served to his players Saturday morning, then surprised them even more by no practice.
No practice, no breakfast.
No offense up until today. They've gotten some from Cunningham.
There were 3 fouls on the play. Personal foul on the kicking team, number 31. Personal foul on the receiving team on number 18. There was also holding on the receiving team during the run back. By rule, the enforcement will be the receiver's ball at the spot of their foul, first down.
All that and the ball stays where it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of verbal talk there, and nothing happens with the football.
Almost be faster to say who didn't do something.
Denny Green's offense, though, we talk about the Pro Bowlers on the left side of McDaniel and Stuzzi, and the big houses on the right side with Dixon and Stringer. Those guys have got to start blasting some holes and get that running game going for Randall Cunningham.
They are enormous, those right side blockers for the Vikings, both well over 350. Here is Robert Smith on the run. The race is on, and Robert Smith has the lead. Catch him if you can. He's inside the 20. He's going to go all the way down to the goal line. They're going to rule him out at the 4. 76 yards.
This might sound funny, but it's all set up by a good defensive play. Look at Footman come inside. That creates that hole on the defense. Smith goes through it, and then it's just Robert Smith being a sprinter, Tim.
Yeah, well, a lot of times, like you say, Footman came inside, and that linebacker has to compensate when the defensive lineman goes in right there, and sometimes that linebacker just can't get there. And Smith makes a nice cut there at the line of scrimmage, and then his speed just gets him down here to the 4-yard line.
So the Vikings now challenging to take the lead for a second time. Our run straight up the middle by big Leroy Horde, and he takes it inside the 5 to about the 4-yard line, where safety Jason Belzer knocks him down. 2nd and goal from there.
You know, we mentioned earlier before the game that they had to get the ball to their big playmakers, guys that can make something happen, Chris Carter and Jake Reed. But another guy that can make something happen is Robert Smith. And that offensive line, like you mentioned, Randy, those guys have got to start knocking people off the ball because they're capable of it, and it looked like they did something good on that play.
And Robert Smith is not out of the game in this situation because he's just tired. You got a guy like Leroy Horde who's got a lot more oomph in his package than the speed of Robert Smith. He can put some hurt on somebody if they're going to meet him in the hole.
Cunningham, pump fakes, fires, got an open man. It's Chris Carter. His 2nd touchdown catch of the day, his 12th of the season. And the Vikings take back the lead.
Play action inside for Randall Cunningham. Look at that quick fake by Cunningham with the pump.
Yeah, but here's the
Where's
whole
the
deal.
defender?
Did you see who was covering him? The safety, the strong safety, Robert Blackman. You don't put a strong safety on Chris Carter. You take a fast, quick corner and put him out there.
Well, isn't that good? Getting a good matchup?
Yeah, it's getting a good matchup, but defensively, you don't.
Oh, you defensive guys.
Well,
Give the offensive guy a little credit.
The extra point is up and good. Got to give the Vikes credit, and Randall Cunningham, who takes him right down the field. This is a guy who had only 14 yards passing in the 2nd half last week, but he's lighting it up now. All hit downfield. And here comes the return by Jacquette. Nate Jacquette out to the 26-yard line. And there Indianapolis goes on offense. 1st down and 10 with the Vikings in the lead 17-10. College draft in inexact science. This guy was never drafted, signed as a free agent. Marshall Falk stuck hard by Stalin Colonnade.
Stalin Colonnade out of Boston College, named Stalin, Man of Steel. Looks a little bit like Superman right there.
He's a big guy. He's about 6'6", about 280 pounds, and
he's working against Tony Mandrich, who's no midget.
No, he's 325. He's given away almost 50 pounds to Mandrich.
Got his first start last week, guys, and the offensive lineman against him in that game tried to shake him up and hit him and kind of give him a shot in the face. He wouldn't take it.
Holcomb fires, and he might be picked. Looks like a Viking pickoff on the run. It's Corey Fuller. He's inside the 15-yard line and all the way down to the 10. Tremendous pickoff by Corey Fuller. Got it right off the turf and then ran it back 23 yards.
Well, this is just a bad throw by Kelly Holcomb. You're going to see the receiver come down, and he's going to run an out route, and the ball is underthrown. The ball's going to be thrown behind the receiver and low, and Fuller's going to come right up there and make the interception. Good play by Fuller, watching the quarterback, reacting to the football.
And now he does the curly shuffle. You expect one of those little Three Stooges movies or music to come out here.
Well, that's what happens when you get a young, inexperienced quarterback in there. You know, he's going to make mistakes like that, especially in critical games here, and it's hurt.
For the Vikings, the playoffs have begun today. They've got to win to get in. And now they're looking to take command of the game. They lead by 7. Robert Smith with just his 5th carry, and he already has 80 yards rushing as he approaches the all-time single-season rushing record for the Vikings, even though he's missed 2.5 games. Washington again extends to a 14-point lead over the Eagles.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe a franchise like Minnesota with some of the great backs when you think back of Terry Allen and Chuck Foreman and Osborne and those guys back in the old days, that just a little over 1,200 yards is a franchise rushing record. It's amazing.
12,001, that's it. Cunningham to Horde. He's in, standing up. They like this in Minneapolis.
Well, if you're going to go somewhere, you go in there where the big boys live. We talked about that offensive line having to do it. All set up by Corey Fuller's great interception and catch. Holcomb threw it because Harbaugh's not in there, but that line set it up perfectly for Leroy Horde with a big, big hole.
Yeah, and I think, again, you know, we talked about this during the break. This team looks so much more excited and fired up since that play by Harbaugh when they ruled it a fumble. Yeah.
Extra point is blocked. So the Vikings will now hold to a 23-10 lead as the NFL on NBC continues.
You know, big block here. Evans lead block on the linebacker. This is exactly as an offensive player, when you look at a playbook, you go to training camp, you say, gee, that's how that should work. Doesn't get any better than that.
You know, like what you say, man, it's perfect by the offense because the defense didn't play it too badly. The defensive end looked for McDaniel and tried to close it down. The linebacker was sitting right in the hole, but great execution by the offense to get the touchdown.
Good lead block by Evans, but that Randall McDaniel is the man when you talk about a pulling offensive lineman in the league today.
Well, he's going to play, and he's going to start his 9th straight Pro Bowl this year, which is an all-time NFL record.
And an NFL record was just broken with the block extra point. Murray's consecutive extra point streak stopped at 250. As the ball comes to the 20-yard line on a 20-yard return by Jaquette.
Well, here's a look at the blocked extra point, and you're going to see this guy right here on the end of the line, Orlando Bobo, number 74. He's got responsibility for that inside gap, so he should not let that happen. Now, they kind of took his attention with Blackman coming from the outside, but he's got to be responsible for that inside gap. He's got to step down, close it off. That shouldn't happen on an extra point or field goal.
There's no excuse for giving up that inside gap. I mean, that, as long as you coached, if you're going to make a mistake, make him go around the long side. And first block in 250 attempts, Eddie Murray had to be shell-shocked when he heard that double thump.
Holcomb throws the ball, does it nicely, gets it out to the 26-yard line to Marvin Harrison. Kelly Holcomb is a free agent from Middle Tennessee State. Originally signed with Tampa Bay as a free agent. Was in the World League with the Barcelona Dragons. Good arm, good size. Just never played in a big league in college, a good league, but not major college. And now he's called on in this important game that the Vikings have to win.
You know, like Harbaugh, he's got those plays on that left wristband. I wonder if it's the same plays, though. I wonder if it's a little short and limited list for the backup.
Probably the same one. Might be the same wristband.
He's pitching, though. He's out there throwing for a first down. Gets it across the 35-yard line to Sean Dawkins, who's out to the 38.
That was a good throw. That was a good, confident throw right there. He zinged that thing in there. And that's what they got to do with him. Yeah, Harbaugh's got his wristband on, too, so I guess they've got a different one for Holcomb. But I'll bet it's the same plays, Randy.
Harbaugh on the bench since he was scrambling early here in the second quarter, and Dwayne Rudd tackled him and dinged him, and he hasn't been back since.
That's not fair. That's not calling plays. That's reading them. You're supposed to read defenses, not read plays.
Checks the armband, and here he goes as he stands in, and all he gets is a load of a blitzing linebacker. That was Dwayne Rudd, the rookie #1 draft choice from Alabama, who Coach Fazio said is as smart as they come. He's going to be a great player.
Well, this is another zone blitz by the Vikings, and you're going to see Rudd come right up the middle there, and nobody blocks him. Number 78, Terry Glenn, was kind of looking around there. He didn't block anybody. I think he was the guy responsible for Rudd.
Well, he's getting a little rip out of Randall with Meadows. Look at that left arm hit. That's why, too, Holcomb didn't have anywhere really to go. He couldn't have gone upfield because of Randall's push, and he couldn't go in the middle because of Rudd's blitz.
And now we're down to the 2-minute warning with the Vikings in the lead, 23-10. 8-8 record. Our friend Jim Mora. His Saints did it in 1990 as Jim watched them on a last-second field goal beat the Rams 20-17. Finished with a 500 record. Shaking your head, but happy to be there. You also were a wild card a couple years with a 12-4 record.
Yeah, you know, that was one of the more interesting seasons, that 1990 season. Robbie Aber didn't play, our #1 quarterback. He sat out. Frank Warren, one of our best defensive linemen, was out for a drug suspension, and we had to battle hard all year, and we got into the playoff. That kick by Morton was the last play of the game. It was on a Monday night, the last game of the season, and that got us in the playoffs. And I think it was the first time all year we were at 500.
And the Jets also one year got into the playoffs with an 8-8 record. The Vikings could today, should they lose. But Washington would also have to lose, and right now Washington is winning handily over the Eagles. Holcomb throws, picked off again. Robert Griffith on the run. Marvin Harrison makes the tackle, but Holcomb entering the game for Harbaugh has been a disaster so far for the Colts.
Well, you talked about that good aggressive throw Kelly Holcomb made on the short ones. I think maybe Lindy and Fonnie and the boys might want to limit him to the short ones for a while, because when he's getting more than 15 yards down the field, he underthrew one. He overthrows this one trying to get it to Dawkins, and you don't see a more opportunistic defense than the Minnesota Vikings under Denny Green. If you make a mistake, I guarantee you this defense is going to find a way to make you pay for it.
Well, you know, in recent years, Randy, as you mentioned, an opportunistic defense, they have been one of the leaders in the league from a standpoint of creating turnovers. But this year, they haven't been. And it's been a real mystery to both Denny, who expected more, Denny Green, and Foge Fazio, their defensive coordinator. Both of these guys have been kind of shocked by the fact that the defense hasn't played as well as they expected. Now, they've gotten some turnovers in this game, but they have not gotten a lot of turnovers this year. Going into the game, they've taken the ball away only 22 times, which is about 23rd worst, you know, the worst in the league. So they have not been as opportunistic this year as they have been in the past. But like you said, in the past, they've been awesome as far as taking the ball away.
Well, we're starting to see, too, and Lindy Infante, unfortunately for him, is watching a Minnesota Vikings team that looks a lot more like that team that got off to the 8-2 start. The defense is getting the ball. The offense is moving it with the big plays.
And Randall Cunningham has really picked up his passing for the Vikings in this game with the big plays. Here's the handoff to Robert Smith, who broke the 76-yard run. Now is stopped for little or no gain. Might have gotten a yard. Taken down by Monty Montgomery. Coming it up at halftime. The NFL on NBC, Domino's Pizza halftime report with Greg Gumbel, Joe Gibbs, Chris Collinsworth, and Sam White. Scores and highlights. A feature on Jets cornerback Otis Smith, who will have his work cut out today in the second game that most of you will see. You'll be looking at Herman Moore, number 84, the Lions, coming at him.
Otis Smith has not had an easy week since he's been a Jet. It's either great or it's bad.
Now a little odd pass by Randall Cunningham to his tight end Andrew Glover, who's an interesting story. He was cut, played for the Raiders as a penalty marker down, was back home.
That's going to go against the Colts, too, Don.
Yes, it is. Bill Carollo now gives us this pronouncement.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 59 on the defense.
Stephen Grant.
To the goal, first down.
Middle backer was unnecessarily rough.
And it all happened after the play was over, which makes it a coach like yourself, Jim, all the more sick when you do a nice defensive play and then you watch your defense do something stupid and just give the offense yards.
Yeah, that's right, Randy. You know, especially down here, they've already got good field position. You're on your heels anyway, reeling defensively and offensively, and to have a player lose his poise like that after a good play just makes you sick.
Not making Lindy Infante feel any better as he paces the sidelines. His future as the coach of the Colts in question. Throw and a catch. It's Glover over the middle. And Randall Cunningham auguring well for what the Vikings might do if they get into the playoffs. And it looks like they will as they now extend their lead to 30-10.
Boy, was that really set up by some great game planning by the coaches. They looked up. You see that cover 2 type defense. They're thinking wide receivers. And they love this tight end Glover, Jim. Yeah,
if you're gonna double the wideouts down there, that means that your tight end's going to be covered by a linebacker. And down here in the goal line area, that's just very, very difficult to do. And you know, they talk a lot about Reed, they talk a lot about Carter. They love this tight end Glover. They think he's a heck of an athlete.
And the Vikings check the probability chart. They'll go for 2. Looking to build a 31-10 lead if they can. Randall Cunningham fires inerrantly, so it will stand at 29-10. The Vikings have scored 3 touchdowns in their last 8 offensive plays.
See, look at the room they're giving the receivers out here. You got your safety. Now suddenly the linebacker's got to cover the tight end, just like Jim mentioned. Watch the tight end. Look at the coverage. How sweet is that to get a middle linebacker on that big tight end?
Yeah, that was Stephen Grant. He was the guy that had the personal foul the play before. And Cunningham makes a nice throw, because all you got to do here is just get it right over the linebacker's head. Just throw it right over the linebacker's head, and you've got a touchdown right there. It's very, very difficult for a linebacker.
The downfield big plays, one after the other. The biggest, the run by Robert Smith for 76 yards that set up a touchdown. Again, Nate Jacquette does his best running the ball back. There's not a whole lot there. Ran it back 17 yards. It's a doubleheader day on NBC Sports. Coming up next, game 2. Most of you will see a win and you're in situation for Bill Parcells and his Jets as they face Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions, each needing a victory to ensure themselves postseason slots. In this game, Barry Sanders will try to become only the 3rd man in NFL history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a season. That's next on most of these NBC stations. Others will see the Chargers battle the Broncos or the Jaguars take on the Raiders. Check your local listings. Holcomb goes on a draw play out of the shotgun and gives the ball to Marshall Faulk. He does get plus yardage, about 3.
Coach, you talk about Barry Sanders. I mean, when you coach against a running back like that, when you watch him on tape, can you imagine him ever not getting 2,000 yards?
Well, another fumble by the quarterback.
And the Vikings think they have it. They're so certain some of them are coming off the field, and wow, referee says yes they do. So the worst of times are back for Lindy Infante after that 0-10 start. And 3 wins in the last 5 games. Now the Colts, with their starting quarterback out, are in disarray.
Yeah. Holcomb's in the shotgun right there, and it doesn't even look like he's ready for the snap. See, he's pointing out there to his wide receiver, you know, be alert for the blitz.
That's a veteran center, Jay Lewenberg. He's got in there 58, giving him the ball. I mean, I was just going to say that, you know, the key here is hang, don't do anything stupid, and hope Jim Harbaugh can come back and dig you out of this hole. They get a touchdown here. I'm not sure if Jim Harbaugh can get out of this kind of a hole.
No, I don't. That'd just be too deep. And I don't know. It's hard to figure out who to blame right there. But when you've got a quarterback over there pointing to the defensive people, I'm sure he's not giving any kind of snap count. So absolutely, there's some confusion there. And Lewenberg snapped the ball. I don't know if they were going on a silent count or what. But Holcomb is not ready for it.
A lot of it, Jim, being a center in a shotgun before, is timing. You're used to a certain amount of timing from your quarterback. He's going to ask for it at a certain time. The crowd's going nuts. You know, you get up there, it's time to go. Lewenberg said, hey, it's time to go.
Yeah, but if he goes on the snap count, Randy, you can't snap. You know, you can't snap it till the quarterback gives you the count. I know it's a tough job and it's a tough situation, but you know, he's got to know what to do there.
Jay Lewenberg, an inspirational story. His whole football career, he has suffered from diabetes, but says he has never missed a practice or a game, a single play. And he's an inspiration to a lot of youngsters with juvenile diabetes, as the throw into the end zone to Chris Carter is overshot. It is incomplete.
Cunningham throws another ball to the boundary to let his big receiver Carter try to get at that thing.
Yeah, you know, when I look at plays like this as they develop, and you're going to see Carter come down there and run a post route, you know, you say, even though it's a high pass, you almost expect Carter to make the catch. You know, I'm thinking there, I'm seeing the ball go over his head. I'm saying he's going to jump up there and come down with that thing some way. But that was just a little bit too high.
He's made some brilliant plays, as you pointed out.
And it's the mentality you said he had to have, Jim. He had to get the ball down the field and be more aggressive.
Get it to my big guys is the way he referred to it. Jake Reed hasn't been in the game plan much so far. Now swing pass to David Palmer. They use him all over the field, often as a slot back. He's a happy guy, likes to play football and does it well.
Well, this was really a nice call by the Vikings offensive coaches, because they had the screen on, and the Colts were coming after him with the blitz, and had Palmer have caught that ball, he would have made good yardage, maybe even get into the end zone.
Ball positioned at the 23-yard line. 3rd down comes up now for the Vikings. Jake Reed is going wide to the left. He just signed this week a huge new contract, over $13 million over the next 4 years. Terrific 1-2 punch. Carter and Reed. Cunningham, he throws a pick. Puts it up the middle of the field, and Quentin Coriat, number 55. Gets rid of the ball, gets it to Rico Clark. Now penalty markers are down all over, but the Viking drive is stopped with 14 seconds to play in the first half.
Just when you say, gee, great decisions, great reading, Randall Cunningham throws a pass. He had no business throwing that ball in the middle, especially with bodies trying to grab him.
Well, that's life in the NFL, as you know, Randy. You know, it's going to be good times and bad times. And what happened here is Quentin Coryatt, number 55, the guy that makes the interception, he was faking a blitz, and at the last minute, he came out, and they got double coverage on Glover, the tight end, the guy that Cunningham was throwing to.
Right there, Chris Carter, number 80, comes the face mask, and that was a full-fledged get your money's worth, grabbing by the face mask, the helmet, whatever I can get situation. That is dangerous.
Yeah, fortunately, he's okay. He really grabbed him. Rico Clark, who was the pitch man.
There are 2 fouls in the play after the interception. Illegal pass by the intercepting player. Personal foul, face mask on number 80 on the defense. Both penalties will offset. The receivers will keep the ball at the spot of their foul, intercepting spot.
Unfortunately, Rico Clark is up and all right. Randall Cunningham, as we look at a comparison in turnovers today, Colts with 3, and it's led to 12 of the Vikings' 29 points. They lead 29-10.
Yeah, they've been close, but the turnovers that the Colts have, the ones that they've given the Vikings good field position, and the Vikings have taken advantage of those with the 12 points. It all depends where those turnovers come.
Holcomb back on the shotgun again to the draw play. Marshall Faulk running well. It's the final play perhaps of the half, as we're down to 8 seconds. He crosses the 40-yard line, and a timeout is signaled for with 6 seconds to play. There was a 22-yard gain on the run. Ruin anybody else's season. We're out to win for ourselves. He's over 1,000 yards for the season with the 70 yards rushing that he has today, Marshall Faulk. Now Dwayne Clemens, a defensive end, 92 left early for the Vikings.
Offsides, number 92 defense. Unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Well, you know, the Colts avoided that touchdown we were talking about off that turnover. Now it's very important for Lindy Foddy's football team here to do something that doesn't do anything stupid.
That's right.
Take your shot, do your thing, but you want to get inside, check out your number 4, see if Harbaugh's all right, and come back in here for the second half with a chance to get back at this football team.
Ellie Holcomb stands in, and John Randall misses him, but then it's Dwayne Clemens who comes as the second pass rusher and sweeps him under in the first half. Down to 1 second now to play. Players were leaving the field. There's still a second to play. It was loss of 12.
Well, the clock stopped on that sack here at the end of the half, at the end of the game, and now it's over as he restarts the clock. But Clemens gets a garbage sack because John Randall had Holcomb's undivided attention.
Well, I think Meadows has seen every move in the book today, this first half by John Randall.
He thinks he's seen every move.
Yeah.
It is 29-10. Vikings that they'll have to wait to come out because the Vikings have it to start the third quarter. And to come out because the Vikings have it to start the third quarter. And Palmer is taken down way back at the 14-yard line. Good special teams coverage by Indianapolis. As we look now at the Coors Light halftime statistics. Vikings with 203 yards. Turnovers have been a factor.
Well, you look at that balance, and you also look at the fact of just the chunks they're getting. Robert Smith with that great big run, 76 yards there, and then the receivers for the Vikings making the big plays and the big catches.
Yeah, Carter's got 4 catches in the first half. That's 3 more than he had the whole game last week against Detroit. So they're getting, like you mentioned, Don, at halftime, they're getting the ball to the guys that can make something happen for them.
Surprising thing, really, that we've been talking a lot about Carter, but over on the other side, Jake Reed, who's been a big play guy, too, has been shut out.
He sure has. They haven't gone even looked at him. He came in with 67 catches. No throws in his direction today. Robert Smith runs for the Vikings out to the 20-yard line. As we check the Vikes on their first half possessions, it started off not too good.
Yeah, well, they've got 5 scores here, and then the other 2 are interceptions. But after that crucial interception early, Cunningham has really played well and gotten him in the end zone. And this is what they've got to do. They got to get in that end zone. They got to score points. And you do that by getting the ball to the key guys.
And he's only really thrown 2 bad passes. And you saw both of them on that graphic, those 2 interceptions. That's the key in the second half. No dumb passes out of Randall Cunningham so they can win this game.
You know you're going good when you haven't punted through the first half, and the Vikings haven't punted yet. Robert Smith breaks a first down run from his 21-yard line. He's ahead for 12 yards. And the Vikings move on.
Look at the offensive line in this area right here. The guards and the centers. Randall McDaniel. You've got Christie. You've got Lindsey. You've got Dixon. That's just being physical. That's just taking care of the guys inside.
Well, that was a real nice move, too, by Smith. You know, the Colts were slanting one way, and he saw it happen, and he broke it back the other way. Good move at the line of scrimmage by him.
Randall Cunningham, what pop he has on the ball. Just a flick of the wrist, and he triggers it to a tight end, Greg DeLong. And he's ahead for a Viking first down out to the 45-yard line. This guy looks good today.
Yeah, Cunningham is really having a good game, and I think one of the things they can do, they came out, even though they're throwing the bootleg here to DeLong on the first 2 plays, they came out and they gave the ball to Robert Smith. And I think you're going to see Smith carrying the ball more this second half. They've got a lead. They're going to use up some clock time. Certainly there's a lot of time left, but I think they can rely a little bit more on the running game than they did early in the first half.
And Robert Smith is now the all-time Viking leader for rushing in a single season. But he's not done as he gets some more. Breaks out for a 6-yard gain straight ahead. In 11 years with the Philadelphia Eagles, Randall Cunningham quarterbacked 5 playoff teams. He had some terrific years, but he was more of a threat, you felt, Jim, Mora, as a runner than as a passer.
Well, the thing about Cunningham, he's a tremendous athlete. Now, he's not the athlete that he used to be, but you always had to worry about him scrambling, and because of that, his athletic ability, he could make some big plays in the passing game.
He's made some today, and Robert Smith has made some running the ball. He's over 100 yards rushing. Near side throw is incomplete. That time they did go to Jake Reed, Randy.
Well, that was almost one of those passes I was talking about. Rico Clark, the rookie corner, working against Jake Reed. If he gets a little bit more of a break on this ball, see him break and hesitate. Without the hesitation, I think he catches that thing and he goes all the way in the other direction. By formation, that was the only way Randall Cunningham could throw that football. There was nobody out on the other side.
He's got to be careful, though, Randy. You know, like you say, he can't be making bad throws, bad decisions.
On third down, Randall Cunningham fires up the middle, and the ball is knocked away. Chris Walsh was going for it. So the Vikings fail to convert on third down, and they will punt for the first time as Mitch Berger comes out on the field.
Cunningham's going to look first for the outside receiver, and that guy's covered, so he comes into Walsh, and Walsh is coming in from an outside alignment. Not a good throw, but Walsh had a chance to get it and probably should have.
Jim, doesn't that long loping delivery sometimes Randall Cunningham get him in trouble in those little short passes?
Yeah, because people can, with the long loping delivery, people can break on the ball. Defensive players can break on the ball and react to it.
The NFL on NBC continues, and the Colts will have the ball. Hit, clean hit. They need him now. The Colts trailing 29-10. Marshall Faulk is stuck by one of the 4 rookies who starts for Minnesota. Defensive tackle Tony Williams.
Right there after that field goal is when Jim Harbaugh left the game, and that's how they finished things up without Jim Harbaugh. Now they've got him back in the game, and you can see early they're not going to do anything too crazy with Jim Harbaugh in here. They go right to the run. They're going to protect and use Dilger and or a fullback to protect that backside and keep John Randall off number 4.
Yeah, they have extra blockers on his blind side, the left side of the line. Pick up the blitz. Harbaugh throws, but he's too high for Marshall Faulk.
As you mentioned, Randy, that time they threw the ball, and that was only a 3-man route. Dilger was in as a blocker. You'll see 85 Dilger in as a blocker. The only 3 receivers were Faulk and the 2 wideouts, Harrison and Dawkins. So that means they're protecting with 7 guys.
And nobody's open. I mean, and that's the trade-off. You know, you think about that, folks out there. You're worried about your quarterback, But suddenly then you hamstring your offense so much. Is it really worth, what you're giving the extra protection to? Let the quarterback go.
When they had everybody running patterns in the first half, Harbaugh was indeed moving the team. He needs 9 here. Here comes the rush. He gets it away. He's got his man. Harrison on the run. Is ahead for a first down out to the 43-yard line. A gain of 23 yards on the play.
This again was a zone blitz by the Vikings. They rushed 5, covered with 6. And again, if you've got time there against that zone blitz, there's going to be a avoidable zone, and you're going to find somebody open. And that's exactly what happened. Again, Harbaugh, with his mobility, was able to step up in the pocket and escape the rush.
That ball came loose there as he was on the ground, so after the contact. But nice job there by Meadows on Randall. Had him one-on-one and ran him right by Harbaugh.
Meadows, the rookie left tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. To the draw, Zach Crockett busts it up the middle, and he's all the way down to the 46-yard line of the Vikings. He got 11 yards and a first down.
Well, Jim, you look at a defense that's attacking like this. What do? You send your guys up the field. You get that quarterback. Well, nice call by Lindy and Fonnie giving the ball to Zach Crockett here. They barely even had to breathe on Jerry Ball and John Randall. Look how fast he blurs by Meadows. That's kind of a he'll claim credit for a block on that, I guarantee you, but that's not much of an effort.
He wasn't worried about the draw. He wasn't worried about a running play that time.
Quick drop. There's a throw off target. As Harbaugh has to hurry, he was throwing to Sean Dawkins. Stalin Colonnay may have had a hand on the ball. He's playing well as the rookie at defensive left end for the Vikings, number 99.
Well, really the key so far for Lindy and Fonnie's offense working against this Minnesota defense is the fact that Jim Harbaugh so far in the second half is vertical. He hasn't been hit. He hasn't been challenged physically. And when you got a quarterback, for those of you that might have been with us earlier, that's been hit in the head region and had a little head injury, you want to keep people off him.
Colts are moving the ball downfield since Harbaugh's come back in. This is the first possession of the second half. Deep drop, lets it fly. He's got it. Whoa, looked like somebody got tackled out there. So far, no flags.
Somebody did get tackled. Dwayne Washington flat tackled him. Harbaugh can't believe it.
Only illegal if you get caught.
That wasn't pass interference, Jim, and I never held.
Well, I was.
And I'm lying even if you got pictures. And we got pictures.
Here's a look right here. Washington on Dawkins. What happens there is Washington trips over Dawkins' feet, but as he falls, he kind of grabs the leg. So I think the official just saw the trip and not the grab.
But it brings up 3rd down and 10. Harbaugh takes a look, swings it out to Marshall Faulk. He's on the run. He has the first down and more as he takes the ball inside the 30-yard line down to the 27. So on 3rd and 10, the Colts come up with an 18-yard pass play.
You know, Randy, you mentioned that it's very important for the Colts to protect Harbaugh. On this drive, on 4 different occasions, the Vikings have sent either 5 or 6 guys. Now, that time they only sent 4. He does get a hit by Clemens, but a nice throw and a nice run here by Faulk.
Well, the hit really wasn't the bad thing by Clemens. It got him. It was that snapping his head hit down on the ground after Clemens put him down on the ground. Nothing illegal about the hit originally by Clemens.
But they do get 18 yards in the first down. Handoff, and the carry by Cliff Gross is for very little. Maybe a yard down to the 27-yard line. As we mentioned, Harbaugh came in with a quarterback rating over the last 3 games of 110 plus, and for the year he's the 8th highest rated quarterback in the NFL, almost an 89 rating.
When you see Harbaugh there with his hands over his ear holes like that, what he's doing here, he's blocking out the crowd noise so he can hear the audio play coming in from the sideline.
Hey, and they've got a guy on a motorcycle, a Harley, adding to the noise. Look at this guy. Has he got a ticket? I don't see a pass. Look at that guy. You know what I bet? I bet that guy shaves his top of his head so he can look like that. That can't be. Look at him.
I know one thing. He wouldn't be dressed like that if we were playing outside today.
No, don't bet on it. People like that.
Look at him.
Hey, there's stadiums full of people that wear no shirts in weather as cold as this.
Yeah, it looks like Tarek Glenn, the rookie guard for the Colts, is leaving the field. I don't know what happened to him, but he was their #1 pick this year. They actually wanted him to be the offensive starting left tackle. They drafted him #1, Meadows #2, but Glenn was late coming into training camp, so they had to put him at guard.
And Eugene Chung, #66, goes in at right guard next to Tony Mandarich, #79.
Second down, the Colts need 9. Harbaugh goes through his reads and gets Dawkins down to the 14-yard line. So the Indianapolis offense right back up to speed with Harbaugh back in the game here in the third quarter.
Watch the job Waddell does out here helping on Randall. Meadows tries a short set, loses him, but there's a little game plan, and that's taking care of your quarterback and your rookie left tackle, making sure they don't take a shot on the quarterback so he can get the ball off to his receiver, Dawkins.
Colts drive closer, trailing 29-10 as they trail at the half. Marshall Faulk on the draw. This has worked well. They get it down to the 10-yard line.
I think the Colts have done a good job on this drive of keeping the Vikings off balance. You know, they've run a draw. They're running different kinds of pass routes. They're splitting Marshall Faulk out. They've split Dilger out a couple times. They're tight end. That time they had #81 Pollard in there at tight end. He was off the ball. So they're keeping the Vikings off balance so they just can't line up and come after Harbaugh every time.
Well, especially here in the red zone, they'd like them to attack. Then you take your shot with your receivers because you know you can block the blitz unless they bring more than you got.
Pitch back. Marshall Faulk turns the corner inside the 10, and he's belted out of bounds at about the 6-yard line. Close to, but not quite enough for the first down. It'll bring up third down and about a yard as cornerback Dwayne Washington knocks him out of bounds.
Well, one of the things about, you know, we mentioned the speed that Smith has. Here's Dawkins, #87, the wide receiver, getting a block down there on Dwayne Washington. Very important that receivers block. If you're going to break long runs, now here they're not going to break a long run because they're in the red zone, but if you're going to break a long run, those wide receivers have got to do a good job of blocking downfield.
Dilger, the Colt tight end, caught 3 for touchdowns against the Dolphins last week. They haven't thrown to him yet today. Right up the middle they go on a power blast with Cliff Gross running the ball. Big back from Texas A&M takes it down to the 3-yard line where the rookie safety Torian Gray brought him down.
Well, the Colts offensive line turned the front four for the Minnesota Vikings into a speed bump there.
Yeah, you know, and when it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, I really like it when an offensive team down here is going to line up and just run the football. It's just an awful lot of confidence in your running game and your offensive line. They went right over their rookie offensive guard, Terry Glenn.
Pitch back. On the run and into the end zone go the Indianapolis Colts. Marshall Faulk on the payoff end. So the Colts inch their way back into the game, down 29-16.
Well, with this touchdown here, we're definitely got a ball game.
Well, remember what we said, Jim. You know, Jim Harbaugh gets a chance to come in here into the second half. Is he all right? Can he lead this team? We've answered that question. We've answered the question of whether or not this Colt team's got much quit in it, being way down like that. They definitely don't have that. But they have an offensive line that did a good job of protecting the quarterback, running for the run, and they liked it so much, now they're going to go for 2.
Spread formation from the shotgun, Jim Harbaugh. Throw and a catch and a 2-point conversion. And all of a sudden, Harbaugh ignites his team to a man. The Viking coaches and the players we talked to yesterday all talked about the toughness of Jim Harbaugh, that they knew he was going to battle him right down to the final gun. And he has the Colts back in the game as the NFL on NBC continues. Was taken by Palmer at the 10. David Palmer gets it out to the 33-yard line, a return of 20 yards. With 2 touchdown runs today for Indianapolis and 85 yards rushing. He's over 1,000 yards for the season. Randall Cunningham throws a strike to Andrew Glover, who takes a big lead whack and then comes down with the ball for a 14-yard gain.
Well, coming off that last possession, just what this offense needs is just a little success to get a little more confidence back, because the second half has been a bit of a trouble spot for Randall Cunningham in this offense, and you need to get the opportunities early like this and prove that you're still the same offense that they saw in the first half.
Right, and that was a good throw by Cunningham because that had, the Colts had pretty good coverage on Glover that time.
Glover and Jake Reed were teammates at Grambling, and when Glover was out of football this summer, Jake Reed said, take a look at my guy. He's a good tight end, and here he is starting for the Vikings as they go to the run to Leroy Hoare, taken down by Morrison, the outside backer, who had the interception early in the game for Indianapolis.
And here's what I mean when I talk about first half, second half, the last couple of weeks. The big number there for me is that one right there. 3 points in the last 2 weeks in the second half. You can't do that against a Colt team like this. They've showed you on the last drive they've got the confidence to move the ball. Denny Green's offense has got to answer that last drive by Jim Harbaugh.
Second down and 4. Let's see where they go to Robert Smith to try to answer, and he does as he breaks it for a first down and a lot more. Robert Smith airborne for the last 5 yards, gets a 20-yard gain and a big block by wide receiver Chris Carter.
Well, again, when guys make long runs, the wide receivers got to do a job. But one thing you got to do as a defensive team, you can't let a guy like Robert Smith get outside. Now, that play's kind of designed to go up inside, and he bounces it outside. But with his speed, you've got to have that outside covered. You've got to have somebody in a forced position, a contained position, to make him stay inside. You can't let him bounce it, because he can bounce it and get outside with the great speed he has.
Smith, growing up in Cleveland, was the high school player of the year before going to National High School Player of the Year before going to Ohio State. Leroy Hoare takes it to the 24-yard line. Dan Footman knocks him down, number 98 for the Colts.
Not real happy right there. He's got the happy feet after that little run as they forced him outside, proving that Leroy Hoare is no Robert Smith trying to get the corner on the outside. I mean, Leroy Hoare, and the defense does a nice job by the Colts here, though, Jim. They string this thing out, and here's support, and here's defensive players being where they're supposed to be, and the feet don't stop.
Yeah, the feet don't stop, but Rico Clark, number 27, he didn't make a real good tackle. He had a shot there to tackle that thing for no gain, and he didn't make a good tackle.
Randall Cunningham pump faking to the end zone. There's Jake Reed, and he overshoots him.
And who do they go after right away? Rico Carter.
They went after
Rico Clark.
They went after the rookie Rico Clark. Now the Colts have 2 rookies starting at cornerback this year, and what they try to do here is put a double move on Clark. Cunningham came back and pumped it once, and Reed made a little stutter step, and then he got right. Watch him make a little stutter step right. See a little stutter step, a little out fake, bam, and he tries to get by Clark, but Clark plays it very well.
Nice job. I mean, you got on the kid about not tackling. Well, you don't pay your corners to tackle too much. I mean, but look at him, give him a little props there for doing a good job of covering.
You can tell you never coached or played defense.
Concern the Colts here was how much smaller their corners are than the wide receivers for the Vikings.
Well, so much for the play clock. It ran out on them.
I kind of equate offensive linemen. Randy, like cornerbacks that won't hit anybody. I don't know. Are you in that category?
I used to love seeing cornerbacks out there when you were pulling as an offensive guard, because you knew they didn't like hitting people too bad.
Well, some guys do. There's some tough cornerbacks in this league. They'll come up and strike you.
And they become safeties quickly. Youngster there, Rico Clark. That play against Carter, though, that's one of the better receivers in the league, and he didn't bite on that fake.
Colts starting 2 rookie corners today. Here is a Randall Cunningham starting to sprint out. That play is whistled dead.
Early motion.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 64, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Randall McDaniel, who doesn't do things wrong very often. The man you said, you're talking about Jim's going to the Pro Bowl for a 9th straight year. The Vikings lead the league in Randalls with Randall McDaniel and Randall Cunningham and John Randall. There are their Pro Bowlers for this year.
And actually right next to Randall McDaniel, that last play, they had a new center in there. LaShawn Daniels, number 69, was in at center. Remember, Lindsey started the game, but Daniels is in there now.
Throwing a catch. Jake Reed spins inside the 15-yard line. First down, Vikings. 21-yard gain.
Is that Jake Reed's first catch?
Well, they're going after that rookie again, Coach.
That is his first.
Randall Cunningham's found something he thinks he can take advantage of. Rico Clark trying to work on Jake Reed, and That is #1 for the big guy.
I'll tell you one thing, though, about these 2 rookie cornerbacks, though, Randy, the defensive coordinator, Jimmy Johnson, for the Colts said, hey, these guys don't worry about anything. He says they're not scared out there. He says nothing bothers them, and you got to have that kind of a mentality as a cornerback, especially as a rookie cornerback.
They have that short memory because you're going to get burned. Here is a throw and a catch as Chris Carter has his 3rd touchdown catch of the day. 13 yards. And Carter, who complained he was the forgotten man in this offense, all of a sudden is the go-to guy in this must-win day, and he's having his game of the year.
Well, here they picked on the other rookie cornerback, number 34, Monty Montgomery. And when you've got him covering Chris Carter one-on-one, anybody covering Chris Carter one-on-one has got a tough job.
Well, folks, and that's your answer to that drive by Jim Harbaugh and the Colts. Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, and the Vikings put one back in their face.
The extra point by Eddie Murray is up and good. Look at the fingertip catch. He's got such great hands. And the Vikings will kick off as the NFL on NBC continues. Including this one, has caught more passes over a 4-year span than any player in NFL history. 2 years in a row, Carter had 122 receptions in 94-95.
Here's a look at the touchdown. You're going to see Carter right there, and the Colts are blitzing, and whenever you blitz, you tell your defensive backs, take away the inside. Montgomery took away the inside, and Carter took advantage of that and beat him with an outside move.
And Randall Cunningham enjoys the fact that Carter's got his 3rd touchdown pass. That gives him now 89 for his career, moves him into #4 position all-time touchdown catches for NFL receivers.
That's a nice pitch-catch combination. Both were signed as free agents, formerly playing for the Eagles. Randall Cunningham and Chris Carter. Here is Harbaugh dumping the ball towards Dilger. Let's take a look at Carter's big day in the end zone catching balls.
And Chris Carter comes into this game with 86 touchdown passes. There's 87. None of them are going to look easy, folks. There's 88. And now we just saw 89. You saw the stat. 7 throws to him. Remember, we've seen those other 2 passes he didn't catch, and he was overthrown pretty big when he didn't catch the pass. So every realistic ball he's got his hands on, he's caught.
That's right.
Yes, he has. On 2nd down and 10, Harbaugh with a 3 wide receiver set. Stands in, lets it fly. Dawkins comes down with the ball. He's short of the 1st down, but very close to it. Spot will be just inside the 32-yard line where he had to go. That'll bring up 3rd and less than a yard.
Well, it looks like Dawkins got banged up a little bit on that catch. Again, I think the key, as you mentioned, Randy, at the beginning of this half, the key for the Colts, if they want to stay in this game or get back into this game, they've got to protect Jim Harbaugh. I just see the Vikings continuing to put pressure on him with 5- and 6-man rushes.
Well, if they start bringing blitzes, that gets man-on-man blocking on John Randall.
Marshall Faulk cutting back to the near side. Harbaugh gives him a block, and Marshall Faulk is on the run. Here's a penalty marker in. They might have got his face mask in, bringing him down, as he's all the way down to the 45-yard line, a gain of over 24 yards on the play, and there'll be more added on.
Robert Griffith got that face mask as he forced him out of bounds. And what do you think, Jim? Just like they drew it up in the playbook for Marshall Faulk to run that one?
Oh yeah, just like that. You know, the cutback, and he like Smith and most of these backs that run from the I formation or deep in the secondary, you've got to be a good cutback runner. And Faulk did this. He's starting to his left. Look at him right there. That's a heck of a cutback. He just goes laterally to his right. Look at Harbaugh trying to make a block there.
Well, he got a block on Fuller.
That?
That's what gave him that final corner. He couldn't have got outside on Fuller, but Harbaugh was there so he could cut inside.
And ruled an inadvertent face mask, so it's a 5-yard penalty down to the 40-yard line.
That's drawn up in a playbook. You'd wear out a pencil drawing all those lines on a piece of paper.
Harbaugh looking deep, makes a throw and comes in high. Firing at one of his tight ends, number 81, Marcus Pollard. Harbaugh played collegiately at Michigan, was the #1 draft choice of the Chicago Bears. As it's tightening up now, the Redskins leading the Philadelphia Eagles 28-25. The Scenario for the Vikings, a win today and they're in the playoffs despite their 5-game losing streak they're trying to break today. They could even lose 6 in a row if the Eagles beat the Redskins. Still make the playoffs. Throwing a catch, Jim Harbaugh to Marshall Faulk. And he's down to the 37-yard line. Last week, the Colt defense threw a shutout at Dan Marino and the Dolphins, 41-0. As you look at the ticker now, getting close.
You had to like that tackle there by Corey Fuller, Jim. That was just a great wrap-up on a tough little back to tackle and fall.
Well, Fuller's a tough guy, and I think Dwayne Washington's a pretty tough guy, too. I actually see more tough corners in this league than I see guys that don't like to hit. I know they're paid to cover, but you got to come up and tackle sometimes too.
Crowd noise a problem. Harbaugh fires on the run but comes in low, and then he's hit hard just as he releases the ball. He was looking at Marvin Harrison.
Well, Stalin Collinette came in and gave him a whack, and he's lucky he got down what he did because John Randall was coming after him. 4th down situation here, Jim. You're in your last game of the year.
I think you go for it because you're in a situation here. It's going to be a 50-some-yard field goal for Blanchard, which is a long one for him. You got about 6 yards to go. You're down by 18 points. You better go for it.
With 52 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
No audibilizing here with this crowd noise.
Harbaugh takes a look, gets out of trouble. He's got a man downfield, and the ball is caught inside the 10-yard line down at the 6. Beautiful improvisation. Jim Harbaugh scrambling, and then he finds Brian Stabline downfield for a 25-yard gain on 4th down.
Any way you look at it, this is Jim Harbaugh. Nobody else makes this play for the Indianapolis Colts. Harbaugh escapes that pass rush. He finds Stabline. To his credit, he finds him, Jim, because he was down there waving for him.
I know. He had 2 guys down there in the area, but like you say, that's just a great play by Harbaugh. I mean, he scrambling around, finding him open, making the play. I mean, he thought about running there for an instant, but he knew he probably couldn't get the 1st down with the run, and he had to get it downfield.
For all the craziness of '97, remember this guy was called Captain Comeback for a reason.
That's right. Took him within 1 pass of going to the Super Bowl in '95. Marshall Faulk going wide on a 1st down and goal from the 7, and he's taken down by middle linebacker Ed McDaniel.
The Vikings are a very difficult team to run outside on because they're so fast, as McDaniel showed that time with excellent pursuit.
And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. You are watching the NFL on NBC.
Yeah, and they've got to get in the end zone here on this drive. I mean, this might be the most critical drive of the game for the Colts. And they need 7. They don't need 3. They need 7.
Confusion on the formation for Harbaugh's offense. He has to go into the center now.
Marvin Harrison comes in motion. Harbaugh looks, fires a strike. It's down to the 4-yard line. It's a 1st down for the Colts. It'll be 1st and goal inside the 5-yard line. That was lanky Sean Dawkins going low to get the ball.
Jim, a veteran quarterback, takes control of what could have been a bad situation for a guy less experienced, and he really makes the most of it.
Yeah, and he's just making great throws right there. That was another great throw. He made a great throw earlier. I mean, the guys, you need this to be a consistently good football team in the NFL. You need a quarterback back like Harbaugh. A guy can get it done when it counts.
Redskins have just scored, and they now lead the Eagles 35-25. Throw, and the ball is almost picked. Knocked down. Coming up to make the play was Orlando Thomas, the free safety, number 42.
Orlando Thomas didn't even start in this ball game today. They started Torian Gray, that rookie, at that safety position, but they said he's going to play nickel, and this is a huge play by a veteran. Look at him break on the ball, 42, and come in there because Harbaugh's got an open receiver because Brady isn't sticking with that wide receiver.
Harbaugh grabbed his arm after the play.
I think it's more that little side slap that John Randall put into the top of his arm.
Field goal try by Blanchard is driven up and through. It's It's now a 36-21 game. Vikings have the ball and the Colts will kick off.
This football game.
Yeah, on this drive, they've got to get the ball back. They can't let the Vikings keep the ball.
David Palmer in the open field. There's a blocking foul as Palmer is finally run down at the 35-yard line of the Colts. And it looks like it'll come back. It was a 63-yard return.
It's a little hold against the return team, against the Vikings.
When you talk about things that are frustrating for a coach, one of the things that's extremely frustrating is when you get a good return on a punt or a kickoff.
10-yard penalty, first out.
When you get a good return on a punt or a kickoff and you get a penalty that puts you way back in the hole again.
Well, on that, you see the coverage coming down the field. Little yank there and little pull. There were several little yanks and little pulls when you look at this return in general.
That was Jeff Brady, the middle linebacker. Normally the starting middle linebacker has been the starter all year until Eddie McDaniel has taken over that spot the last 2 weeks.
Colts looking to get the ball back now, trailing 36-21 early in the fourth quarter. Just a minute going by in it. Randall Cunningham fires hard and it's almost picked off. Gunning it in on a tight spiral to Jake Reed, and then the free safety Jason Belzer stepped up and almost had it for the Colts.
Well, what you got to do to stop Carter and Reed both is you got to double cover him. You got to put the corners up in their face and back them up with a safety. You see Clark there going to get a hit on him and play the flat zone. And the key guy here is Belzer, number 29. He's in great position in that safety position to come over and knock the ball out of there. Really good play by both the corner and the safety.
But the ball thrown where Belzer could get to it.
Here's Robert Smith running, and not for much, got a couple of yards. Randall Cunningham telling us yesterday that having these two guys in the same lineup, Jake Reed and Chris Carter, is like having great 3-4 hitters in a baseball lineup. They help each other. They're on the double teams.
Yeah, it puts the defensive team in a real dilemma because who do you take out of the game? I think number one, you got to say if we had to take one out of the play, when I say take him out, double cover him, don't let him catch a pass. You start with Carter, but if you do that too often, Reed can hurt you.
Well, the problem with Reed too, if you take Carter out, you're letting Jake Reed go one-on-one, and he is easily the more physical of the two receivers.
Yes, he is.
Carter with 3 touchdown catches today, and now Jake Reed comes back at the ball, and Cunningham comes in high as he's hit hard just as he releases the ball.
A little bit there of what the Vikings saw last week out of the Detroit defense, and that is some blitz and some aggressive attacking out of the defense.
All right, when you bring, if you're going to release so many receivers in the route and they blitz more than guys you've got to protect, somebody's going to come free, and the quarterback's just got to get rid of the ball.
Colts about to get the ball back. Mitch Berger hits the punt downfield for the Vikings. Nate Jacquet, he gets popped hard at the 43-yard line as the Vikings continue to lead by 15. Today, 14.5 for the season. Harbaugh play fakes on first down, throws downfield, and Dawkins makes a tremendous catch. Going way up, extending and coming down with a 15-yard gain.
Well, Jim, exactly what you talked about. The defense forces a 3 and out. They get the ball back on the 43-yard line. And what are you looking at if you're Minnesota? You're looking at an offense that believes in Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh knows he can do it.
Right, and key there was the defense. First of all was the penalty on the kickoff return by the Vikings that hurt him. Then the defense steps up and stops him, and now the offense has good field position.
Here's a blitz. Harbaugh gets it away, and Dawkins had a hand on it, and then almost a Viking almost had it.
Dwayne Washington, Dawkins deflected that right into Dwayne Washington's lap. And he can't believe he didn't catch that thing. Watch Dawkins get the hand on it, then watch the deflection. Oops. You do tip drills a lot, Jim, but you can't prepare for that.
You can't prepare for that, and now the Colts have another chance. Good luck for the Colts, bad luck for the Vikings.
And you have to admire the Colts in their fight. They keep battling back. And what's been a long season. With a run, and there's not much going on for Zach Crockett as he's thrown back when the Colts were 0-10 to start the year. They were telling people we're not as bad as they seem, and then they were saying yesterday when they beat 3 good teams in the previous 5 weeks leading up to this game, they had to tell people maybe we're not as good as we seem.
That's right. And
somewhere in between.
You know, in case you were wondering there, Lindy and Fonnie talking to that walkie-talkie, he calls the plays. So the reason he's talking to that walkie-talkie is he's giving the plays to Jim Harbaugh.
That's the coach-to-quarterback transmission system that's in effect in the NFL. He's calling the plays to the.
Yeah, he's not in charge of security.
No.
He's got a playbook as thick as a phone book. Harbaugh's hit from behind.
Guess who?
Johnny Randall. Second sack of the day.
Well, Randall got free there, but there was pretty good coverage back there because Harbaugh was standing back there and really had nowhere to throw the football. Now Randall just goes through 2 guys, maybe 3 guys there. They got blocking him that time. Harbaugh didn't see him coming, and that's the advantage of coming in from that blind side.
You see Meadows hands him off to Waddell. Waddell hands him off to Harbaugh. I mean, that's just...
Harbaugh didn't want him.
He doesn't want any part of that big guy.
Johnny Randall, the guy, says, I love the game so much, I want to make every play my play. David Palmer moves up. Fair catches the ball at the 15-yard line. And the Vikings will have it as the NFL on NBC continues. 5 straight games. Now today they have the lead and have the ball as Robert Smith, who's played so well, runs it for a few yards out to the 17-yard line.
Now remember, last time they had the ball, 3 and out. And then they gave the ball back to the Colts.
They did.
You've got to eat time up in this situation. If you're worried about winning this football game, you need first downs. Don't worry about points. Worry about first downs right now.
And this is where it's important to be able to run the ball effectively, Randy. You know, as an offensive lineman, you get a lead, 4th quarter, you got to run the football.
Robert Smith's been doing that well. 12 carries for 129 yards, including that 76-yard run from scrimmage. Pick, Colts have it. All of a sudden, Jason Belzer heads for the end zone, and does he go in? But no, he's out at the 4-yard line. But friends, this isn't over yet.
One play can turn a ball game around so quickly in the NFL, and you can't ever relax. You can't ever think you got things under control, because just like now, you're ahead by 15 points, and all of a sudden, big interception, good field position for the Colts, and now they're ready to score a touchdown.
And all set up by Jake Reed, just putting like the one hand up there almost to knock it down, but all he does is knock it up into the air and enable Jason Belzer to make that return. Watch the end when Jake Reed gets to it right there. I mean, all that does is knock it straight up in the air for Belzer.
Well, both Lindy and Fonte and Jimmy Johnson, the defensive coordinator, told us that they thought that Jason Belzer was having an excellent year this year with not a lot of recognition.
Yeah, when he catches it, he's not done. He ran it back 32 yards inside the 5. First and goal. Up the middle they go to Marshall Faulk, who's been in the end zone twice today. That time he's taken down at about the 2-yard line. Still a lot of time left. 10 minutes and 5 seconds to play in the game.
Well, there is a lot of time on both sides of the ball, Don. You can't relax right now. If you're in Minnesota, you don't need to panic, but you best get a little sense of urgency about your actions right here. Not be lackadaisical. I mean, this is where veteran leadership for Denny Green has got to step up and make the difference.
We'll see what they do. There's a lot of veterans in there and a lot of rookies on that Viking defense. Marshall Faulk with a hard angle charge into the right side of the Viking defense, and a backup linebacker, Ron George, stops him short of the goal line.
Ron George, a linebacker who played for Denny Green when Denny was at Stanford. Been released by the Falcons. Denny gave him a shot, and right here, he in the middle of that defense do a good job of keeping Faulk out of there.
I'll tell you what, Randy and Don, I'm really impressed with the way that Marshall Faulk has really hit it up there on those last 2 plays.
I mean, he's running. That's low running. He's about 18 inches off the ground when he gets there and tackle.
He's not a big guy, and he is smacking it up in there.
Now Jim Harbaugh, not wanting to squander a very strong scoring opportunity, calls for a timeout with 9:01 to play in the game.
That's who you credit, that shoe.
3rd and goal from the 1-yard line for the Colts. Over the top. No, he can't even get up. Vikings stuffed Marshall Faulk, and 4th down comes up. Wayne Clemens, number 92.
See, this is a heck of a play by the Vikings, because what this does, because they throw him for a loss, now they've got, instead of 4th and inches or 4th and a foot, they got 4th and 2 yards to go. So what do? You kick a field goal, you got to throw it. It'd be tough to run it in from here.
Well, Clemens just comes out, and he just flat stones Marcus Pollard, the tight end. He comes right through that shoulder.
I like that down the line option they ran in the first half, where they pitched to Falk.
Well, they took their goal line offensive people out of the game, the Colts did, and they're coming with their normal people. So,
got a timeout by the Colts. Harbaugh wants to go over there, Jim, and figure this whole thing out. You know, you follow this year from up here, but you know, has it really changed that much? You get 4th and short, the formation we talked about. Now they are.
Fourth down. Harbaugh takes a look, makes the throw. It is a touchdown for Indianapolis. Gunning it into Marvin Harrison as he really threw into traffic.
Harbaugh got splattered down by John Randall. He just got that off, and he's hurt. He came right down on that left shoulder. Randall just slammed into the turf.
Remember earlier in the half here that he grabbed his arm one time when Randall grabbed him by the arm. The same arm right there, yeah.
But a wonderful job of, if it don't fit, force it. And he fit that thing right into that defense, barely over the line for that touchdown.
Blanchard booms through the extra point. And the Colts again inch closer, down 36-27 with a lot of time left, 8:25 to play. But will their quarterback be ready to come back in when they get the ball back?
I would bet that Harbaugh's back in there. Now, he's hurting right now, but I know what kind of a competitor is. The guy that puts a shot on him is John Randall. He comes inside the tackle, beats the guard, or came inside the tight end and beat Meadows right there and got the hit. Now he was coming hard there. Look at him right there.
Well, he actually, I think, pretty much clean beats Adam Meadows coming around the outside of him.
Kings have to win to go to the playoffs. Here's David Palmer. And he is to the 23-yard line. Now we're going to go to Greg Gumbel in New York. Plays every game like it's his last. Robert Smith runs it straight ahead. As Randy, you were mentioning Washington. We're told, has beaten. They're still in it. Still in the fourth quarter. Kansas City, a home team in the AFC throughout the playoffs. Steelers rested a lot of guys today, went to Tennessee, and the Oilers finish 8-8. Now it definitely is a final. Washington has defeated Philadelphia. You were prescient, Randy Cross.
No, I was about to kill somebody that handed me a card.
Robert Smith straight ahead on 2nd down and 4. He's ahead for a first down.
Well, the Colts got to get the ball back like we've been talking here the last few drives. But again, in this kind of a situation, it's vital that as an offensive football team, you can run the ball. Because if you can run the ball and continue to make first downs, you run time off the clock. The Colts offense is on the sideline.
Absolutely, Jim. With that offensive line of the Vikings, they've got speed and strength on the left side and pure just girth and smash on the right.
That right
you got the combination. You got to use it.
Yeah.
Let's see how they use it on 1st down and 10, holding to an 8-point lead. They use it to Robert Smith, taking it straight ahead. The Vikings could have gotten in with a 6th straight loss today had the Washington Redskins been beaten by the Eagles, but that did not happen. The Redskins were a winner today, so the Vikings have to win, and there's a great second game coming up. The Lions and the Jets, both teams looking to win and go to the playoffs. Randall Cunningham swings the ball out to Charles Evans, one of his fullbacks. Short gain on the play. It brings up 3rd down and about 7.
Boy, another good play by Steve Morrison, who picked off a Cunningham pass earlier today. That is another good example. Good open field tackling by the Colt linebacker.
Yeah, because I thought there. Oh yeah, look at Jim Harbaugh's walking off the field. Well, that injury must be pretty serious if he's doing that, because you know that player there would like to be in the ball game and finish it up and try to win this thing.
So Jay Lewinberg encouraging Kelly Holcomb right there, warming up.
Kelly had been shell-shocked after what happened to him when he had to come in at the last moment. Here is a hard-thrown ball at Jake Reed as Randall Cunningham really came with his fastball on that one. Carlton Grave had his hands on the ball. It's incomplete, and the Vikings leading by 8 in a game they have to win. Now will punt the ball back to Indianapolis.
Well, this was a nice play by Carlton Gray on a big play, because now the Colts get the ball back. And, you know, they made a first down run on the ball twice with Robert Smith. And, again, I emphasize again, you got to be able to run the football in times like this. This is what wins you football games offensively.
Mitch Berger hits a good one downfield that Jaquette comes up on. He's going to run it back. In his wisdom, he fields the ball and does get ahead for about 4 yards. So the Colts have it. They're down by 8. You led to the Saints to their first playoff ever. How does this NFC picture look to you?
Well, it looks pretty tight here for the last spot. You know, if Minnesota wins this game, Detroit has to win to be in the playoffs today.
Detroit against the Jets in the second game of this NBC doubleheader. Holcomb, this guy just cannot play at this point. Fumbles again. He's inexperienced, but somehow you've got to get the snap from center. He's missed 2 of them and turned it over.
Lindy Infante's offense has done everything with Jim Harbaugh positive, and so far it's been all negative for the young quarterback Kelly Holcomb and the Colts when he's in the football game. Interceptions, bad snaps on a shotgun snap early when the quarterback's not looking, and the simplest of plays, the quarterback-center exchange.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Randy and Don, what this means. It's very important that you have a backup quarterback that can come in and win a football game or keep you in a football game.
Yeah.
Cunningham's a good example of that as compared to a guy like Kelly Holcomb with no experience whatsoever.
Your friend Marty Schottenheimer's got a great situation with Kansas City with Gannon backing up Elvis Gerbach.
Yeah, he went with Gerbach today and played pretty well in the last report. Robert Smith runs the ball as the Vikings will now to try to run clock with 5:08 to play in. The clock running here in the fourth quarter, and the Vikings holding to a 36-28 lead.
The problem with the backup quarterback with the salary cap is a lot of times with a lot of teams you don't have the money to pay a backup quarterback enough money to get a quality guy right there. You have to go with the rookie or a young guy and just pray over there on the sideline and during the course of the season that you're not going to get your starter hurt.
Lewinberg
Right there.
the center and Holcomb the quarterback.
They're talking about the exchange and how exactly Holcomb got that ball up into his hand. He's claiming it was crooked.
Pretty straight when he handed it to Harbaugh. Here is Robert Smith running, and he gets down inside the 10-yard line and down to the 6.
Well, that was a bad exchange of a quarterback and a center snap, but there's nothing wrong with this exchange between Randall Cunningham and Robert Smith. Getting a great block out there by Stussy, by his receiver Jake Reed, by his tight end Glover. I mean, this is putting a finishing touch on something when it needs to be finished.
A 13-yard gain by Robert Smith, who's now up to 157 yards rushing today. The Vikings all-time single-season rushing leader. And this is his 6th 100-yard plus rushing game of the season. That's a Viking record also. Previous one held by Chuck Foreman. Previous rushing record held by Terry Allen.
You know, there's been some criticism of Lindy Infante and his coaching staff for the season that they've had. And if the Vikings go on to win this game, you know, you can't blame the coach. You can't blame Lindy Infante. I mean, they're in the ball game. Harbaugh's bringing them back. If Harbaugh plays this whole ball game, I guarantee you it's close. I mean, real close. And the Colts are right in it. Now they lose Harbaugh, and the Vikings are probably going to lose. That's not Lindy's fault. That's not his coaching staff's fault.
But as you mentioned, the Vikings looking to nail the lid on now with 3:06 to play. Randall Cunningham sprints out. He is swept under. Ellis Johnson came through unblocked. Big defensive tackle from Florida.
I think Ellis Johnson knows audibles and knows this offense. Watch the big guy, number 62, right there. He comes leaping through there, and it's a foot race to the corner. Randall's got the edge, got the speed, and he's also got Ellis Johnson all over his purple shirted body.
Ellis Johnson was their #1 draft pick a couple years ago. I was coaching with the Saints when he came out, and he was very, very high on our list. He was a guy that we had like in our final group of 3 or 4 guys that we were thinking about picking.
Either. Randall Cunningham takes it straight ahead. Looked like a called play. Goes right behind his center. And he's taken down at about the 7-yard line. So the field goal unit comes out.
You talk about coaches of the years too, guys. I think one guy that really deserves a lot of credit for turning a pathetic situation very, very positive in a couple years is Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay.
Oh man, fantastic.
I mean, as bad as that organization was, as bad as the mentality on that football team was, he has quietly, in his own style, turned that around. And a lot of what he does as a coach, he got here at Minnesota as a defensive coordinator.
Anybody knows Tony Dungy, it's hard not to root for him.
Right. No, I could have very easily have put him right in that category with those guys I mentioned. He just slipped my mind. I think Tony's done an outstanding job. Excellent football coach. Has got a great future ahead of him. Does not want to play in that first round is Detroit because of that offense. I think it's ranked #1 in the NFL.
I don't think I want to be playing the Packers either.
Well, they don't think they'll
look good.
Yeah, they don't think they'll play them, and they know they won't play them in the first game.
You worry more about people that are coming to your place.
Yeah.
When they're going to their place, you're their problem.
Another coach who is so underrated. He is absolutely excels at his profession as the guy will be at work in the second game. We know Parcells is one of the best, but so is the guy across the field from him, Bobby Ross. He is a tremendous football coach. Has been at every level.
But that next football game, we've seen Smith run well. We've seen Marshall Faulk run well. Bobby Ross's guy,
yeah,
Mr. Sanders, needs 131 to get 2,000, and I am going to watch that.
Kelly Holcomb trying to get his team downfield, makes the throw, and somehow Marshall Faulk brings it in with one hand. And all that running with the one-handed catch results in no gain as we're down to the 2-minute warning. The NFL on NBC continues in a moment.
Well, all of these things are important here, Don and Randy, but to me the most important stat isn't on that screen. It's Jim Harbaugh being hurt. Out of game. Right there it is on the screen. Right there. I was looking at those other numbers, but Jim Harbaugh out of the game has been the difference, because when he hasn't been in there, when he's been in there, that Colt offense has been very productive, and when he hasn't, they've just struggled. Turnovers, fumble snaps, the whole thing.
And that guy right there has managed to make a difference, which a lot of defensive players on occasion can make a difference. John Randall's found a way to do it basically for 4 quarters. Remember the sacks. He's the one that hit Harbaugh that last time to get him out of the game.
Yeah, he's like Ernie Banks, the Cubs Hall of Famer. He'd like to play 2, you think, John Randall. 4 quarters isn't enough for him.
Well, in a case of Randall, you know, is the case most of the time in important games, and this is certainly an important game for the Vikings, having to win to get in the playoffs. Guys like him step up. The leaders of the football team, the quality players and people step up.
He did that with 2 sacks and almost a third. Ball is picked off. Robert Griffith of the Vikings makes the intercept. So Kelly Holcomb continues to really struggle against a fierce pass rush of the Vikings.
Not that it's ever a plus and ever gives you let up, but I tell you, whoever watches this matchup between the rookie Adam Meadows and John Randall is going to know there's no day off, there's no quit, and there's no playoff in John Randall. He does not take a down off.
Never has. Never has. In practice, he does. They say he's one of the hardest workers on their football team every day in practice. Never takes a play off. That's what makes him a great player. You know, if you can say one good thing that might come out of this for a guy like Meadows, hopefully he will learn from this. He started every game at left tackle this year for the Colts. Hopefully he'll be a much better football player next year.
But Jim, left tackle is like at cornerback. No, he's got to have that attitude that I can't be beaten, and if I am, I forget about it pretty fast.
And to think he was never drafted. An undrafted free agent out of Texas A&I, heading to his 5th straight Pro Bowl. John Randall, who took over the NFL sack lead today with 2, gets him up to 15.5 sacks for the season.
And Randall Cunningham got enough out of this offense today
Yes,
Last
he did.
week, this offense didn't do much in the second half, but he did a good job in the first half. And when they really had to, when you needed to step up, that offense stepped up in the second half.
Yeah, and he got it to the right guys. He got it to Carter, who started off the game with their first touchdown with a magnificent catch in the end zone. Smith made some big plays. And Cunningham did come through. I think he played a very good football game today.
After this game, most of you will be going to the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the Lions and the Jets are playing for a playoff spot. Each has one on the line. The Jets in the AFC and the Lions in the NFC. As John Randall has been a force today, and he's helped propel the Minnesota Vikings onto the NFL playoffs.
Well, let me tell you how it is in the NFL for a head coach. Don Dennis Green now is breathing a sigh of relief down there that his team is going to make the playoffs. But he's going into the playoffs 0-4 in the playoffs. So he's thinking, hey, I got to win one now.
Well, he's heard the bad things all week long about, hey, you're not going to make it. Now this week he wins, he can enjoy it for about 20 minutes. Now they're going to be saying, yeah, well, you never won one.
I know, that's exactly how it's going to happen, and he knows it.
Once again, the final score, the Vikings 39, the Colts 20.